Chun Feng traversed into a world where martial arts reigned supreme and demons and monsters ran rampant. Though his talent was ordinary, he discovered he had awakened a skill panel. Once a skill was acquired, he could tirelessly grind its proficiency, continuously improving, and could even awaken one skill talent after another. Husband, you must get well. I have already decided that if Master Huang truly gives you the medicine, I will agree to become his concubine. Half-conscious Chun Feng only heard someone sobbing softly beside him. What's happening? Opening his eyes, he saw a shabby thatched roof, mud brick walls full of cracks, broken bed, broken table, broken chairs, and beside him a young woman in coarse linen wiping her tears. Chun Feng was still dazed, then a flood of information poured into his mind. Did I transmigrate? After a moment his expression turned complex. He hadn't expected that after staying up late playing a game, he would wake up here. This body was also named Chun Feng, a hunter from a remote mountain village of the Great Qian dynasty, nearly 20 years old, relying on his father since childhood. Not long ago his father bought him a wife in the city. He thought life would improve, but it turned out to be the beginning. Master Huang in the village coveted his wife. To force him to sell her, he first caused his father to go missing. Then, colluding with the village hunting team, he forced him to scout the mountains where he encountered a man-eating demon, was scared half to death, and fell into a coma for 3 days and 3 nights. If not for his bought wife Schwerer, who had taken care of him tirelessly for days, he might not have made it. The woman beside him, seeing him awake, was overjoyed and said, "Husband, you're awake. You must be starving. Let me get you some porridge." Saying this, she quickly brought a bowl of porridge. Chun Feng's throat moved, wanting to speak, but unable to say anything. He never imagined he would actually transmigrate, and even gain such a wife. His wife Lin Shui was in the bloom of youth. Even in coarse linen her graceful figure could not be hidden. Good, Chun Feng nodded. While organizing the memories in his mind, he drank the porridge Lin Shui had gently blown cool and carefully fed him. Speaking of porridge, it was just clear water with a few grains of rice, but even so he felt extremely weak and longed for something to eat. The warm thin porridge was just right, but Chun Feng's brow gradually furrowed. According to the merged memories, the Great Qian dynasty seemed similar to ancient historical dynasties. But this world also had man-eating demons and powerful martial artists, extremely dangerous and terrifying. Warlords contended and bandits ran rampant. Bones lay exposed in the wilderness for 1,000 miles, no rooster crowed. Droughts, great calamities, and disasters occurred year after year, an extremely tragic era for the common people. And now his wife Schwerer was being eyed by Master Huang. Given his status, how could he survive? Just as Chun Feng was thinking this. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly their door was violently pounded. Chun Feng's heart stirred. He told Lin Shui to stay back, then propped himself up and opened the door. Outside stood 3 burly men. Chun Feng's face darkened. Wang, what are you doing here? These men were from the Black Mountain Village hunting team, led by team leader Wang, who also Master Huang's lackey. His father's disappearance and the original Boda's coma all bore Wang He's shadow. Seeing Chun Feng come out, Wang, who showed some surprise and sneered, "You're still alive, quite lucky. I was going to persuade your wife not to marry Master Huang, but instead sell me your hunting permit, then buy you some herbs so you could recover faster. Now that you can get out of bed, that's something to celebrate." All this time Chun Feng had relied on a little healing medicine his father left behind, with no money to buy more herbs. No wonder Schwerer had thought of selling herself to save him. Now Wang, who was eyeing his only means of livelihood, the hunting permit. Suppressing the rising anger in his heart, Chun Feng said in a deep voice, "The hunting permit is my means of survival. Oh, I can't sell it. Please leave." Wang, who looked at Chun Feng with a half smile, and said, "How, all right, since you won't sell, I won't force you. But the hunting tax is due in a few days. I hope you'll be prepared." Then he turned and left with his men. Only Chun Feng remained, helped by Lin Shui to sit on a chair, cursing in a low voice. Damned Wang Hu. Everything in this era was already under control. No matter what the lower class did, they needed permits. Fishing required a fishing permit, woodcutting required a woodcutting permit, hunting required a hunting permit. No matter what, they couldn't escape the restrictions of various gangs and officials. Moreover, holding such a hunting permit meant paying a hunting tax to the officials every month. All expenses were strictly controlled. Chun Feng asked, "How much silver do we have left?" Lin Shui said softly, "Although there was some healing medicine father left, we still bought some decoctions, and we also borrowed some silver from Uncle Lu and Aunt Lu next door. Now only 33 one remain." Chun Feng's face darkened. Only that much? That was too little, and the tax was due in less than half a month. What could he do? After all his hunting only barely covered food and drink, with nothing left over. Seeing Chun Feng's grim expression, Lin Shui hesitated and said, "Master Huang said." But before she could finish, Chun Feng said sternly, "Don't mention that again. Everyone in Black Mountain Village knows what kind of man Master Huang is." His face darkened. "He'll find a..." Lin Shui said, "All right, I'll listen to you, husband." However, at this moment, as Chun Feng recalled the information in his memories, his expression grew even gloomier. Master Huang was the wealthiest landowner in Black Mountain Village, with plentiful fields and guards. He not only kept lackeys like Wang Hu, but was also rumored to have a legendary martial artist. It was said that even the weakest martial artist possessed the strength to split rocks and shatter stones. Many in Black Mountain Village lived under Master Huang's thumb. Master Huang had a peculiar hobby of taking concubines year after year, and the fates of these concubines were rumored to be miserable, tantamount to sending them to their deaths. Now he had set his sights on Shuer. This body was nothing more than an ordinary hunter, a bit stronger than the average person, but how could it withstand a martial artist? What should he do? If only he were a legendary martial artist, he could slap Master Huang to death with one palm. Chen Feng suppressed his anxiety. He picked up the unfinished porridge beside him and drank it in one gulp. He wanted to regain some strength first, then think about what to do next. The warm porridge made his body feel much warmer. And just then, suddenly, as the bowl of porridge was finished, Chen Feng was stunned. Before his eyes, a panel appeared and floated in front of him. You drink a bowl of warm porridge, and you awaken the skill nutrient absorption. You gain energy points 0. Named Chen Feng, strength 8, a robust adult man, is 10 spirit, 11 speed, 7 skills, nutrient absorption, beginner progress, 1 basic archery, beginner progress, 11 traps, beginner progress 5, cultivation none, innate talent none. In just a brief moment, Chen Feng understood the function of this panel, joy brimming in his eyes. This was a panel made for grinding experience. As long as he was willing to ceaselessly grind, he could elevate anyone's skill without limit. Moreover, with every level he advanced, a new innate talent would be evolved. So it is this kind of talent. A bright gleam flashed through Chen Feng's eyes. Given his current situation, his family still in debt and lacking any resources, this golden finger that required only relentless effort to improve was simply perfect for him. Then let's start grinding, Chen Feng resolved inwardly. He then turned to Lin Shui, whose face was filled with worry at his side, and said, Shuer, this afternoon go to the grain shop at the head of the village and buy some rice. If there are scraps of meat and the like, you can get a little as well. Lin Shui nodded softly. I'll listen to you, husband. Then Chen Feng picked up the bow and arrows and walked into the courtyard. Outside the courtyard was a small open yard. Looking around, he saw that most of the surroundings were similar low earthen houses. Beside him, a dark-skinned, honest-looking man noticed Chen Feng come out and smiled. Chen Feng, you seem to have recovered pretty well. Chen Feng smiled. Yes, Uncle Lu. Thank you for helping us out. I'll find a way to repay you soon. This man was his neighbor who lived by chopping firewood and had a hard life himself. Yet he had still lent money when Chen Feng was gravely ill, a kindness that Chen Feng firmly remembered in his heart. Uncle Lu waved his hand. No need to rush to pay me back, but you should focus on recovering your health for now. Then Uncle Lu leaned in, slightly a trace of worry in his voice. By the way, Chen Feng, you had better not leave the village for now. When Wang Hu and his lot left earlier, I heard them say they wanted to properly teach you a lesson. You've only just recovered, it's best to avoid conflict. A glint flashed in Chen Feng's eyes as he nodded. I understand, Uncle Lu. After that, he began practicing archery in the yard. He took up the ordinary black longbow in his hands and the 10 or so arrows beside him. The shafts were made of bamboo, only the arrowheads were iron, extremely sharp and barbed. In the past, his father had used this bow to kill even wild boars weighing several hundred jin. But Chen Feng now was far inferior. At most, he could shoot some rabbits and the like. He had originally planned to join the village hunting team to enjoy a bit of protection, yet unexpectedly, it had almost cost him his life. Anger burned in Chen Feng's heart. Staring at the round wooden target in the distance, he drew the bow and loosed an arrow. Bang! A dull thud sounded as the arrow embedded itself in the round target ahead. You carefully loosed an arrow, archery proficiency 2. Joy surged in Chen Feng's heart. There really is a change. Effort brought reward. Hard work now had visible returns. This talent was truly astonishing. He continued practicing his shots. You loosed an arrow, archery proficiency 1. This time the proficiency increased by only 1, and a hint of doubt crossed Chen Feng's eyes. What was going on? He quickly checked the panel, and understanding dawned in his heart. The first time he had shot, he had carried his rage toward Wang Hu and Huang Laozi, putting far more of himself into it. The second time he had relaxed somewhat, so the proficiency gain differed. Once he figured this out, Chen Feng made his decision and began treating the target as if it were Wang Hu. Arrow after arrow flew forth. Watching his proficiency steadily rise, even though his stomach still felt somewhat empty, Chen Feng did not feel the least bit tired. On the contrary, the light in his eyes grew ever brighter. With the memories of his original body fused into his own and the improvements brought by his cultivation, he felt that his earlier awkwardness had vanished. Looking at the bow and arrows in his hands, he even considered whether by drawing on his memories from his previous life, he might modify them into a crossbow. If he did that, perhaps it would yield even more proficiency. By afternoon, before much time had passed, Lin Shui returned carrying 2 jin of rice. Her expression was slightly delighted. Husband, look at this. There's also about half a jin of meat. Chen Feng smiled. Good, then we'll eat meat tonight. Though their savings had all been spent. It should also allow his nutrient absorption to improve somewhat. When supper was ready, Chen Feng still had not set down his bow and arrows. Only then did he begin to feel a measure of fatigue in his body. He glanced at the panel. Archery Beginner Progress 81. Delight stirred in Chen Feng's heart. After dinner I'll practice a bit more. I'll probably be able to raise it to the next realm today. Judging from the system's information, advancing even a minor realm should greatly bolster his strength and relate. For dinner there was millet, a bowl of meat, and a plate of greens. Looking at this spread, Chen Feng was somewhat surprised. This was almost certainly all the leftover money in the house. Even so, he did not dwell on it. Raising his proficiency came first. You eat a piece of nourishing meat, nutrient absorption proficiency 5. You eat a bowl of rice, nutrient absorption proficiency 3. You eat a plate of greens, nutrient absorption proficiency 2. By the time dinner ended, Chen Feng was astonished to find that his nutrient absorption proficiency had risen to. Did this not mean that with another such hearty meal his nutrient absorption skill could advance a realm? This speed was faster than training archery. After eating, Chen Feng said, "While it's not yet dark, I'll practice a while longer." With that he took the bow and arrows back to the yard. He intended to raise his archery today. Yet he failed to notice that after Lin Shui responded, she washed his back with something on the tip of her tongue that she did not say. She let out a soft sigh. Chen Feng stepped into the yard, longbow in hand. Even beneath the night sky his eyes remained bright. From several dozen meters away, he loosed an arrow. You with a heart as still as water strike the target, your archery proficiency 2. You harboring anger in your heart, loose an arrow, your archery proficiency 2. Arrow after arrow flew. Chen Feng's proficiency in archery rose without cease. Finally, after roughly 2 hours, new information refreshed on the panel. Your archery has advanced to the proficient realm. Archery evolves into basic archery. You awaken the primary talent 100 pace, piercing yang. Your strength 2, spirit 1. As the information refreshed, joy overflowed in Chen Feng's eyes. The boost was actually this great. Buzz. At that very instant, Chen Feng felt a myriad of memories related to archery merging into his. Originally just an ordinary person who had never touched a bow, he now held the bow and arrow, feeling an uncanny familiarity, as if he had been practicing archery for years. A warm current surged within him. His once frail body began to undergo a transformation. Name: Chen Feng. Skill: Nutritional Absorption Entry Progress 53. Basic Archery Proficiency Progress 1. Trap Crafting Entry Progress 5. Beginner Talent 100 Steps to Perfection. Within 100 steps your archery accuracy is 100%. Cultivation Level None. Gazing at the panel information, Chen Feng gently closed his eyes, sensing the changes within his body. Then he directly grasped the longbow and suddenly opened his eyes wide. Without needing to take a closer look, he released an arrow. Bang! A dull thud echoed. In the dim night, the arrow struck the exact center of the target. It worked. Chen Feng chuckled softly. He felt as if he finally had a bit of self-defense. The sky was gradually darkening. Their village Heishan was located at the foot of Heishan Mountain. Sometimes they had to be wary of monsters descending from the mountain to devour people, so every household closed their doors early with no lights lit. Only occasionally were there other strange sounds. Looking back, Lin Shui was still waiting for him in the living room. Their home was a two-room mud-brick house consisting of 3 rooms and a mud-brick living room. A month ago his father passed away. According to rural customs, one was supposed to observe a mourning period of 3. Moreover, according to the original owner's memories, he was somewhat dissatisfied with Lin Shui, whom his father had bought. Lin Shui was slender and delicate, but the original owner intended to have a woman who could help with work. Thus there had never been any intimate contact. Chen Feng sighed inwardly. After saying a few words to Lin Shui, he turned off the light. The two entered their respective rooms. After hearing the sound of the light being extinguished in the other room, Chen Feng also blew out his light, lying on the wooden bed enveloped in darkness with a faint smell of mold lingering. He could faintly hear distant howls of wild beasts coming from the mountains. He sighed, realizing that things were truly different from before. Regarding the news of his transmigration and the pressure of debt repayment, various thoughts continuously flashed. At that moment, suddenly, a warm body burrowed into his blanket. "My lord, I'm a bit scared." The body was soft and warm. Just having arrived in this strange world with so many thoughts in his mind, Chen Feng couldn't resist being embraced by such a delicate figure. A night passed. The next day, Chen Feng woke up. Looking at the soft little arms and hands resting on him, he smiled, feeling that the emptiness in his heart, since arriving in this world, seemed to have lessened. Then he looked at the panel information he hadn't had time to check the night before. You have completed a delightful night and awakened a new skill, Yin-Yang Technique. Skill Yin-Yang Technique, Entry Progress 10. Seeing the information on the panel, Chen Feng was somewhat surprised. I actually awakened a new skill. Moreover, it increased by 10 in one go. If that's the case, doesn't it mean that as long as I do this a few more times I can improve the Yin-Yang Technique to proficiency? Then wouldn't I awaken a new talent? Chen Feng pondered these thoughts, feeling somewhat tempted. After all, based on the progress of archery, it would not only significantly enhance his skills, but also increase other attributes. However, at that moment, seeing Lin Shui waking up in a daze with slightly furrowed brows, he suppressed those thoughts. My lord'll go make you breakfast. Lin Shui woke up, noticed Chen Feng looking at her, felt a bit shy, and hurriedly tried to get out of bed. Chen Feng pressed her down and smiled. No need. Today you'll take care of it. He got up and made 2 bowls of thin porridge with the rice he had just bought yesterday. You drank a bowl of warm thin porridge. Nutritional absorption skill proficiency 5. Skill nutritional absorption entry progress 58. He looked at the panel information. Chen Feng pondered. It was better than yesterday, but it was clear that he needed meat to quickly enhance the progress of his nutritional absorption skill. Seeing Lin Shui tidying up the bowls and chopsticks, Chen Feng said, Shui'er, make sure to close the doors and windows while you're home. If anything happens, you can call Aunt Lu next door. They'll head to Heishan shortly. Lin Shui looked worried and said, My lord, you just recovered. Shouldn't you rest a few more days? Chen Feng shook his head, saying, It's fine. This time I'll just wander around the foot of Heishan, see if I can encounter some wild rabbits or deer, but won't venture too deep into the mountains. Lin Shui nodded, saying, All right, I'll listen to my lord. Then Chen Feng took the bow and arrow his father left behind, along with a machete and a dozen arrows, preparing to head into Heishan. Regardless, he had to enter the mountains. Moreover, with taxes and the debt to Huang Laosi looming, requiring over 3 taels of silver, if he didn't find a way quickly, it might be too late. Additionally, his skill enhancement also required meat to speed up the progress. As Chen Feng left the village, he followed the road from his memories, heading toward the outskirts of Heishan. Not long after Chen Feng entered the mountains, several figures quickly gathered together. It was the previous hunting team, led by Wang Hu, along with his accomplices Yang Hao and Yang Bao. Yang Hao's expression was somewhat unusual as he remarked, Captain, that brat Chen Feng has some guts, daring to enter the mountains right after recovering. Wang Hu responded with a cold smile, He in this world, those with guts don't live long. Let's go, let's follow him. Last time he was lucky, let's see how he gets out this time. The group swiftly followed behind. The Heishan mountain range is vast, with numerous tales of monsters devouring people. Although the outskirts are generally safe, Chen Feng remained cautious. After entering the mountains, he began to gather some branches and set up small traps. Chen Feng truly did not intend to venture deep into Heishan. He only wished to catch some birds, which would be sufficient for his development. You set up a small trap, crafting skill proficiency 1. You set up a relatively dangerous small trap, crafting skill proficiency 2. Based on the size and strength of the traps, he constructed his proficiency in trap crafting was continuously. Looking at the dozens of traps, both large and small, and the birds circling above, Chen Feng felt a sense of anticipation. Surely he wouldn't return empty-handed today. But just then Chen Feng narrowed his eyes and turned to look behind him. Rustle. At this moment, several figures emerged from the woods. Looking at the small traps laid on the ground, the leader laughed mockingly. Haha, Chen Feng, you call yourself a hunter? You think you can hunt with such childish tricks? Is your brain damaged, oi? Chen Feng spoke gravely. Wang Hu, what are you doing here? He immediately tightened his grip on the bow and drew an arrow with his other hand. A sinking feeling settled in his heart. The village nestled against Black Mountain lived off the mountain's bounty. Encountering others in the wilderness was only natural. Yet the appearance of Wang Hu and his men stirred anger within Chen Feng. They were clearly trailing him. Wang Hu chuckled lightly. What are we doing? Chen Feng, you lucky bastard, even the demon didn't devour you. But since you dared to meddle in Master Huang's affairs, you'll be lying in bed from now on. Chen Feng's face darkened. You were sent by Huang Laosi. Wang Hu sneered. So what if we were? Attack. Seize him. Yang Hao and Yang Bao sneered in unison. Fine. Then they charged straight at Chen Feng. Yang Bao laughed loudly. Haha, Chen Feng, with your pathetic archery skills, I suggest you drop the bow and surrender, so you'll suffer less pain. Neither of them took Chen Feng seriously. As they watched him nock an arrow, their eyes brimmed with contempt. They had long known his archery was nothing but amateurish. They even mocked inwardly, thinking that even if they stood still and let him shoot, he would never hit them. With that thought, they quickened their pace. Shock and fury surged in Chen Feng's heart. He never expected these men to attack him with such lethal intent. Get back. In an instant, he drew the longbow to its full extent and released an arrow. Yang Hao at the forefront saw Chen Feng. Mockery still lingered in his mind. Yet the very next moment, as Chen Feng's arrow aimed at him, a jolt of before he could react, a flash of dark light streaked past. Then a sharp pain pierced his throat. He staggered and crashed heavily to the ground. You killed an enemy. Your basic archery proficiency 5. Chen Feng's eyes lit up. Killing enemies gives this much proficiency. He immediately grabbed another arrow and aimed at Yang Bao. The latter, charging with fervor, had been exultant, but the instant he saw Yang Hao's throat pierced by the arrow, horror seized him. Impossible. He even faltered for a moment. In that very instant, he saw Chen Feng raising his bow to shoot again. He tried to speak. The next moment, a chi sound and a sting in his neck. With a thud, he too crashed to the ground. You killed an enemy. Your basic archery proficiency 5. Chen Feng, holding the longbow, had slain 2 foes in quick succession. A smile of relief spread across his face as he breathed out, so weak. Then he looked toward Wang Hu, who involuntarily took a step back. Witnessing his two underlings felled in the blink of an Wang Hu's expression turned grim and venomous. I didn't expect you to have secretly honed your archery. No wonder you managed to return alive by sheer luck. Wang Hu cracked his knuckles, his face contorted with rage. Chen Feng aimed the bow at him, sneering, so what? Now it's your turn to die. A cold smirk played on his lips. Since they dared to hunt him, Chen Feng would show no. With a wave of his hand, the arrow left the string and shot forth. But the next moment, a dull thud. Chen Feng's expression shifted. Wang Hu had crossed his arms in front of his throat the instant the arrow flew, blocking it. Only then did Chen Feng notice the coil of iron wire wrapped around Wang Hu's forearms. His face darkened, and he wasted no time. He dashed swiftly into the forest on the other side. In his mind, a thought surfaced. A martial artist. Even if Wang Hu wasn't a proper martial artist, he had definitely trained. With Chen Feng's current means in this cramped terrain, he might not be able to withstand Wang Hu. Wang Hu sneered from behind. What if your archery is good? You're still just an ordinary man. Chen Feng, I'll flay you alive to vent my hatred. He gave chase immediately. Chen Feng ahead ran while shooting. Wang Hu was faster, but having to dodge Chen Feng's arrows slowed him down. No good. Wang Hu reacts very fast. Even though I can aim with precision, he can block it. Chen Feng paused. Wang Hu in turn grew unhurried, a cold smirk on his face. Chen Feng's archery was decent, but arrows were limited. In this mountain forest, without his bow, Chen Feng would be a lamb to the slaughter. Just then another arrow shot toward him from Chen Feng. Wang Hu still sneered, blocking the attack at his throat. A chi sound. But then came a piercing cry out. Wang Hu couldn't help but scream. This time Chen Feng had clearly aimed not at his lethal throat or heart, but straight at his calf. You bastard. The arrow pierced through the calf, the bone-deep pain igniting Wang Hu's fury. With a roar, he snapped the arrow shaft in half. Then he frantically chased after Chen Feng. He never imagined that amid the dense woods Chen Feng's arrow could thread through the tangled branches and strike his calf. You hit a skin-tempering realm enemy. Your basic archery proficiency 6. Chen Feng's face now wore a grave expression. Although he could use the mountain terrain to slow and evade Wang Hu's pursuit, Wang Hu's ferocity still exceeded his expectations. Moreover, Wang Hu had clearly undergone some training. His speed and strength were greater. If this continued, Chen Feng would be caught before long. But just then new information refreshed on the panel. While sprinting through the mountain forest, you have awakened the skill mountain forest sprinting beginner progress 3. In that instant, Chen Feng felt techniques flooding into his mind. His eyes brightened. So this could awaken a skill too. He then continued darting through the mountains. As proficiency grew, Chen Feng could sense that his agility in mountain running was increasing, and he grasped more method. Moreover, throughout this process, he kept firing arrows in counterattack. Because Chen Feng discovered that by using arrows, he didn't need to kill. Just hitting Wang Hu granted him more proficiency than slaying Yang Hao and Yang Bao. If his basic archery could level up once more, he felt he could surely kill Wang Hu directly. He speculated, is it because Wang Hu is a martial artist? Otherwise Wang Hu couldn't block my attacks. In the following time, Chen Feng kept using arrows to strike Wang. At the same time, he set up small traps. As several traps were crushed by Wang Hu, new messages refreshed. You have completed the arrangement of a small trap, your trap proficiency 2. Your trap has injured an enemy, your trap proficiency 2. Gazing at the information displayed on the panel, a flicker of surprise gleamed in Chen Feng's eyes. He had not anticipated that his trap technique could improve so rapidly. Moreover, as he observed the panel's notifications, a cold light shimmered in his gaze. This Wang Hu was relentlessly pursuing him with such tenacity. A mere hunter's token could not hold such allure. Thus it was clear that Huang Laosi was the one pulling the strings behind the scenes. Chen Feng's countenance turned extremely frigid, murderous intent blazing in his eyes. The audacity of his adversary to target his family so blatantly meant they held him in utter contempt. Bang! Another dull thud resounded. Chen Feng's expression shifted slightly as he continued onward. After mastering the skill of running through the forest, his proficiency steadily increased. Chen Feng sensed a transformation. Although he was amidst the wilderness, as his proficiency grew, he gradually felt an urge to merge with the forest itself. In this thorn-laden woodland, he seemed to encounter almost no hindrance. Realizing this, Chen Feng deliberately plunged into denser thickets. This scene infuriated Wang Hu, who was pursuing from behind, his expression turning grim. Damn that peasant, Wang Hu's face darkened. After kicking apart another simple buried wooden spike, he swiftly gave chase. Rage simmered within him. He hadn't expected chasing a mere peasant to be so troublesome. He could see Chen Feng roughly a few hundred meters ahead. Yet every time he was about to close the gap, Chen Feng slipped away. Now as the surrounding woods grew denser, a hint of anxiety crept into his face. No, I can't drag this out any longer. I must capture him, or this mission will be a huge loss. Thinking of his two slain underlings, Wang Hu finally steeled his resolve. He let out a cold shout. Chen Feng, dying under my iron arm technique is an honor you can be proud of. Chen Feng, who had been watching his skill proficiency rise ahead, heard Wang Hu's roar from behind. A sneer curled in his heart. He paid no mind and continued forward. But in that instant he sensed a loud crashing sound behind him. Turning to look, his expression shifted slightly. Wang Hu let out a thunderous yell. His blood and chi surged visibly, his face instantly turning red hot. At the same time, Wang Hu clashed his arms together with a bang, revealing rings of iron coiled around them. Wang Hu burst into laughter. Ignoring the small traps and forest brambles ahead, he charged straight toward Chen Feng in great strides. Whatever stood in his way was smashed to pieces. So this is the power of a martial artist. Chen Feng's expression changed as he muttered in shock. He dared not linger any longer. Hearing the crash of collapsing trees and thorns behind him, he knew without another word, he dashed forward, seizing every opportunity to shoot an arrow. Bang! Though most were deflected by Wang Hu's arms. Some struck Wang Hu's legs. Yet to Chen Feng's surprise, these arrows only caused superficial wounds. This made his heart grow heavier. Is even a mere entry-level martial artist this formidable? He finally began to grasp how Huang Laosi had managed to build such a large estate outside the county town. Why the villagers of Heishan village dared not retaliate. Just then delight flashed in Chen Feng's eyes. A new skill leveled up first. Your forest running skill proficiency has increased. Your forest running skill proficiency has risen to 1. You have awakened a new skill talent, walk on flat ground. Your speed 1. Name Chen Feng. Cultivation uninitiated. Martial arts none. Skills nutrient absorption initiation progress 81 basic archery proficiency 12 trap technique initiation progress 87 forest running proficiency 1. Talents initial talent. 100 steps through yang within 100 paces your arrows hit with perfect accuracy. Initial talent. Walk on flat ground. While running in the forest your speed increases by 10. So this is the talent. Joy filled Chen Feng's eyes. In that instant he felt a surge of energy flowing into his legs. His body seemed to grow lighter. With each step his speed increased markedly. It works. Chen Feng rejoiced inwardly. At that moment Wang Hu behind him changed color. How is this possible? He had almost caught up to Chen Feng. Unexpectedly Chen Feng's speed seemed to accelerate instantly. His expression shifted slightly. Could it be that Chen Feng was also a martial artist? Otherwise how could this? Just then he saw Chen Feng stop 100 meters away, burst into laughter, and fire several arrows in rapid. Though Wang Hu dodged quickly, 2 arrows slipped through, striking his left knee. Ah, Chen Feng, they'll kill you. Wang Hu howled in fury, fire blazing in his eyes. With a roar he charged forward. He failed to notice the faint smile curling at the corner of Chen Feng's fleeing mouth. Ahead lay a dense thicket of thorny bushes. Chen Feng moved at incredible speed, and Wang Hu, both startled and enraged, dared not lose sight of him. He quickly pursued. The next moment, he crushed several more small wooden traps underfoot. Wang Hu's face was a mask of fury and scorn. Did Chen Feng think these petty traps could stop him? But he was unaware that Chen Feng, gliding ahead as if on flat ground, was smiling more and more widely. Finally, as another trap was destroyed, joy bloomed on Chen Feng's face. New information flashed on the panel. Your trap technique has caused some trouble for an enemy proficiency 2. Your trap technique has reached proficiency stage. You have awakened a new skill talent, clever hands. Indeed, leveling up fastest during battle. Chen Feng thought to himself. Then he plunged back into the thorns, quickly checking the effect of this newly awakened. This Wang Hu, a martial artist, would have caught him long ago, if not for the walk on flat ground talent. This made Chen Feng even more eager to become a martial artist himself. And he believed that with his talent panel success was certain. Chen Feng's eyes brightened. Did it really increase 2 attributes by 10 at once? This is somewhat unexpected. Moreover, at that moment a multitude of simple trap arrangement methods flooded into his mind. Then he moved forward. After several minutes, Wang Hu angrily smashed a thorny bush into pieces, preparing. However, upon seeing the somewhat familiar surroundings, he paused slightly. How could it be here? Wang Hu. At the same time, in that instant of his mental relaxation, a loud bang echoed. Suddenly, an arrow shot. Seeing the direction of the arrow, Wang Hu was instantly engulfed in anger. Boom. He punched twice. Then he stomped and charged forward several meters. Looking at Chen Feng, who did not flee, Wang Hu felt elated. He laughed loudly. Today is your death day. Chen Feng stood his ground wearing a mocking smile, and said, let's see who dies first. You. Wang Hu sneered. But in the next moment his expression changed drastically. What? Zizi. At that moment Wang Hu's face paled as a piercing sound echoed. Immediately after he felt a sharp pain in his foot. Ah! Wang Hu screamed in agony. He hurriedly looked at his foot only to find it pierced by a sharpened bamboo stick. His face was filled with shock. Is this bamboo of the first grade? He was about to inspect it closely. If it really was a first-grade item, he would have gained a lot. However, before he could examine it further, his face changed drastically as he quickly tried to retreat. But then his face turned deathly pale. In that moment, after he crushed the arrow beneath his foot, 4 sharpened bamboo poles suddenly shot toward him from all directions. Break for me. Wang Hu shouted, smashing the bamboo in front and to the left with 2 slaps. He then bent down narrowly, avoiding a bamboo pole on his right. However, ultimately the bamboo behind him could not be dodged. He had just stood up and hadn't managed to evade when a loud crash sounded. He was directly pierced through the waist by a bamboo pole. A first-grade spiritual item. Where did you get this first-grade spiritual item, and when did you set up such a trap? Wang Hu's face turned pale as he shouted. Looking at Chen Feng ahead, there was a hint of fear in his eyes. He never expected that Chen Feng could set up such traps right beneath his nose in such a short time. He swiftly cut the bamboo off his waist, glanced at Chen Feng, and then quickly turned to flee. Behind him, Chen Feng watched this scene, laughing joyfully. Wang Hu, do you think you can kill me and still escape from here? Wang Hu sneered. Do you believe that even injured killing a mud-legged loser like you is a piece of cake? You don't understand the gap between warriors. Chen Feng's expression remained calm as he drew his bow and shot an arrow from 50 meters away. Zizi, you. Wang Hu felt anxious. He never expected that Chen Feng wouldn't even give him a chance to negotiate. Wang Hu quickly shouted, Chen Feng, don't you want to know why your father died? Don't you want to know why Elder Huang is targeting you? However, after he shouted, Chen Feng's expression remained calm, without a hint of worry. Swoosh. One of the 2 arrows in his hand was blocked by Wang Hu's iron fist. The other arrow pierced through his heart directly. Wang Hu tried to block the arrow. However, there was no effect at all. A loud crash sounded as he fell to the ground. He died with his eyes wide open. He never expected that with his strength he would die at the hands of Chen Feng. Meanwhile, Chen Feng stood there gasping for air. That was not easy. Only after the information on the panel refreshed did he finally breathe a sigh of relief. You have killed a first-grade warrior, your basic archery skill proficiency 10. Just a first-grade warrior, yet so troublesome. I really can't imagine how strong those high-grade warriors. Chen Feng waited a moment before walking up to Wang Hu, sighing. I can see that the exposed skin of Wang Hu seems to have a layer of gray cocoons on it. This should be the realm of a first-grade warrior, Chen Feng thought. He resolved that when he returned this time, he would find a way to become a warrior. Then Chen Feng searched through Wang Hu's belongings. Besides about 3 taels of silver, there was also a stack of banknotes from Wantong Bank, with the smallest denomination being 50 taels. The thickness was at least 4 or 5 notes. Is the hunting team leader making this much money? Chen Feng was somewhat astonished. Then what surprised him the most was that among the money there was also a small booklet. Looking at the contents, Chen Feng felt a jolt. Low-grade martial art iron fist technique. Chen Feng's eyes lit up with joy. This should be Wang Hu's cultivation technique, right? I didn't expect he carried it with him. Today's haul successfully dispelled the gloom that had been pressing on Chen Feng. Indeed, unexpected wealth comes quickly. Suppressing his thoughts, Chen Feng prepared to swiftly descend the mountain with his gains. After all, the rewards from this trip into the mountains were already sufficient to deal with the troubles ahead. However, the next moment after surveying his surroundings, his expression changed slightly. He dared not linger here and quickly made his way toward the mountain's periphery. His face became extremely grim. How could it be here? He was now at the boundary between the outer and core regions of the Black Mountain. The original body had died 3 days ago precisely because he encountered monsters that devoured humans at this boundary. That was why he was scared to death. Chen Feng's expression was extremely grim. He did not want to waste time here, especially since there might be monsters here. With his current strength, he could not possibly deal with them. He had to escape first. However, not long after, Chen Feng's expression changed slightly. He felt as if the blood in his body was flowing faster than before. Upon seeing a somewhat familiar place ahead, his face turned ugly. Qinglang Valley. This was where he had witnessed the monsters devouring humans. He never expected that this time he would be chased by Wang Hu and end up in this place. Chen Feng's heart was heavy. Since monsters had appeared here before, if they appeared again, with his current strength, he would likely not stand a chance. With a heavy heart, he intended to retreat from this place. However, at that moment on his panel, the skill nutrient absorption began to flicker slightly. What's going on? Chen Feng felt puzzled. Looking toward the place where he had seen the shadow of the monster before, there were only some brown bloodstains on the ground, indicating that a massacre had occurred here. At this moment, there was a pull coming from this place. After pondering for a moment, Chen Feng still couldn't suppress his curiosity. He moved swiftly toward it, seeing a streak of brown residue on the ground. His heart stirred, and he reached out to buzz. In that instant, Chen Feng felt a sharp pain in his finger, and the bloodstain on the ground vanished. Then new information refreshed on the panel. You absorbed a drop of diluted evil god's blood, increasing your nutrient absorption skill proficiency by... What is this? He only felt he had barely touched upon it, yet it could increase his proficiency by 15. If he were to obtain a few more drops, wouldn't that allow his nutrient absorption skill to break through? However, it was a pity that after absorbing this drop of diluted evil god's blood, there was nothing else of interest in this location. Concerned about other dangers, Chen Feng decided not to linger and quickly evacuated. In the inner area of the Black Mountain, traces of demons and monsters had already begun to appear. Although he sensed that there might be something there, it was not something he could engage with at this moment. Moreover, the gains from this time were already sufficient. There was no need to stay here any longer. Fortunately, he quickly dashed out of the inner area, and only then did Chen Feng let out a sigh of relief. He even took a moment to check the spot where he had slain Wang Hu and a few others. In such a short time, the smell of blood had already attracted some wild beasts from the forest. The corpses of the few men had been devoured to the point that no traces were recognizable. Chen Feng then abandoned the idea of destroying the bodies. On the way, he familiarized himself with the changes in his body and checked his current status. Name Chen Feng. Cultivation none. Technique Iron Fist technique, not yet initiated. Skills Nutrient Absorption Entry Progress 96 Basic Archery Proficiency 36 Yin-Yang Technique Entry Progress 10 Trap Technique Proficiency 1 Forest Running Proficiency 3. Talent Beginner Talent 100 Steps to Perfection. Within 100 steps your archery will hit the mark every time. Beginner Talent like walking on flat ground. When running in the forest your speed will increase by 10. Beginner Talent Nimble Fingers. Your speed in setting traps increases by 10, and the lethality of the traps you set is enhanced by 10. Looking at the information, Chen Feng felt some joy. This time, choosing to venture into the mountains was indeed the right decision. He did not expect that the battle would lead to such significant progress. On his way back from the mountains, Chen Feng shot 2 wild rabbits to bring home. This scene caused some villagers from Black Mountain Village to look on with envy. That Chen kid is really lucky to find 2 wild rabbits. Yeah, I heard that a while ago there were monsters eating people in the mountains. I can't believe he managed to survive. But it doesn't mean much. I heard that someone from his family has caught the eye of old Master Huang. Who knows what will happen next? However, some people showed strange expressions and said I heard that someone saw Wang Hu in his group following Chen Feng into the mountains. Now that Chen Feng has returned, what happened to Wang Hu and the others? Several individuals with unusual expressions quickly headed in a different direction. Chen Feng paid no mind to their discussions. When he was injured, only a few people had their eyes on his family's house, and there was no kindness shown. Swear, look what I brought back. Upon returning home, Lin Shui had already cooked rice and was waiting anxiously at the table. She finally sighed in relief and said with surprise, "Husband, you are back." Seeing the 2 rabbits in Chen Feng's hands, her expression turned even more astonished. "Husband, you are amazing." Chen Feng smiled and said, "Let's cook one of the rabbits for dinner." Lin Shui nodded happily, saying, "Okay, I will listen to you, husband." Chen Feng was also somewhat looking forward to it. Tonight the nutrient absorption skill should reach proficiency level. He wondered what talent would awaken. Also, the Iron Fist technique he obtained from Wang, who he felt should open the door to martial arts in this world, while Chen Feng was developing steadily here on the other side at the Huang family courtyard. Although it was called Black Mountain Village, it was actually located outside the village in a separate large courtyard with the surrounding fields belonging to the Huang family. Currently within one of the houses, the head of the Huang family, Huang Haixing, sat in the main seat listening to a villager's words with a surprised expression. "Are you saying Chen Feng has returned? Wang Hu and the others have not returned?" The villager in front spoke with a hint of flattery. "Yes, old master, Huang, you previously asked us to keep an eye on this, and I have been watching closely." Huang Haixing's expression was calm as he nodded. "I understand. You did well this time, and go get a reward of 101 later." The villager who came to report immediately showed a delighted expression. "Yes, thank you, old Master Huang. Just for delivering a message, to receive 101 as a reward was far more profitable than farming." Meanwhile, Huang Haixing sat in place, his brow furrowed deep in thought. How could a mere ordinary person like Chen Feng escape from Wang Hu's hands? Wang Hu took my money. Could it be that he has run away? Let's wait and see. When it involves Yin Shengzi, one should not be too hasty. Then Huang Haixing coldly said, "Lu Steward, go investigate the whereabouts of Wang Hu and the others." Yes. Regarding the Huang family's situation, Chen Feng did not delve deeply. Now he had acquired a substantial amount of silver. He just wanted to develop in peace. As for the Huang family, just a Wang who had caused him such distress, he had no intention of dealing with them. At dinner, one rabbit was mostly consumed by Chen Feng. Lin Shui sat beside him, her face filled with happiness. She was very satisfied with this simple life with meat to eat. On the other hand, Chen Feng's face also showed a hint of joy. The panel displayed new information. You have eaten a bowl of rice, nutrient absorption proficiency 2. You have eaten a rabbit, nutrient absorption proficiency 3. Your nutrient absorption skill has reached proficiency. You have awakened a new talent, natural strength, which increases your strength by 2, spirit by 1, and speed by 1. Chen Feng's eyes lit up. Natural strength. He hurriedly opened the panel information. Name Chen Feng. Skills nutrient absorption proficiency progress 1. Beginner talent, natural strength. Your strength will continuously increase with your growth. 8. Anything you consume will be transformed into energy, enhancing your physical strength currently, with a daily increase limit of 1 point. This talent is indeed the most suitable. Chen Feng's eyes were filled with surprise. He did not expect to awaken the talent of natural strength. This is the most suitable talent for a martial artist. Moreover, just at that moment he felt as if his flesh and blood were tearing apart. The density of his flesh was becoming tighter. Then within a short period it healed rapidly. If originally Qin Feng's body was an extremely thin and pale figure, now with the awakening of the natural strength talent, he noticeably began to develop some muscle definition on it. However, just as Qin Feng opened his eyes with a joyful expression, his face suddenly changed dramatically. Not good, Qin Feng exclaimed suddenly. Just at that moment, as new talents awakened, his body underwent a transformation. His digestive system was also undergoing a metamorphosis. In an instant, all the nutrients were almost completely digested and transformed into energy, which was then absorbed into his body. The flesh and blood were becoming stronger, but at the same time he felt an intense hunger. It seemed as if every cell in his body was crying out in hunger. Qin Feng's expression turned grim. Under Lin Shui's shocked gaze, he quickly finished several bowls of leftover rice. After barely suppressing his hunger, he felt a bit relieved. He then cleaned the remaining rabbit, steamed it, and devoured it, finally suppressing the hunger in his stomach. "Husband," Lin Shui said worriedly from the side. Qin Feng smiled and replied, "It's fine, perhaps the training has just consumed too much energy. Should I cook some more rice for you?" Lin Shui asked, her expression quickly brightening upon hearing Qin Feng's words. It turned out that her husband was training in this world. There were many legends about warriors with tales of them consuming an entire cow in one meal. She had no doubts about it. Qin Feng said, "No need, it's already enough." While Lin Shui tidied up the table, Qin Feng sat by the oil lamp at the table, taking out the iron fist technique he obtained from Wang, who examining the information within. Qin Feng still felt a sense of unease in his heart regarding this world of Daqian. Especially concerning the existence of demons, the terrifying scene he witnessed lingered in his memory. Moreover, the bit of diluted blood from the evil god that he absorbed in the mountains made him feel even more serious. Upon opening the iron fist technique, the basic information recorded on the first page allowed Qin Feng to understand more. So that's how it is, Qin Feng thought. According to the information on the iron fist technique, the martial artist ranks of Daqian were mainly divided into 9 levels, with the first level being the lowest and the 9th the highest. To cultivate a martial art to the limit-breaking level and undergo a physical transformation was to become a first-level martial artist. The transformation of a martial artist was further divided into skin, flesh, muscles, bones, and organs. As long as one could become a martial artist, even a first-level martial artist would have undergone skin transformation, allowing one person to deal with several others with defenses and strength significantly surpassing that of ordinary people. In such a remote village, they would certainly be regarded as a formidable figure. This made Qin Feng ponder. No wonder when he faced Wang, who before, even though the arrow could hit him, it only caused minor injuries. The difficulty of penetrating increased somewhat, seemingly, because Wang, who had undergone skin transformation. I wonder how many martial artists there are in the Huang family. Qin Feng's expression grew serious. Wang, who was clearly one of Huang's people, and now he was dead. Although one could say he died at the jaws of a black mountain beast, it was uncertain whether the Huang family would believe that. Thinking of this, Qin Feng felt somewhat vexed. He had no mood to rest either. Taking advantage of the moonlight, he began to diligently practice the iron fist technique. The iron fist technique belonged to external cultivation and contained records of required secret medicines. The corresponding medicines were obviously crucial, having been torn away. What remained were merely the moves. If it were anyone else, even if they obtained it, it would be useless. However, with the panel at his disposal, Qin Feng had no worries. After completing a series of moves meticulously, information about the iron fist technique appeared on the panel. Technique Iron Fist Entry Progress 1. After performing a few more times, the progress reached 3. Looking at the darkening sky and recalling the events of the day, he indeed felt a bit fatigued. He decided to stop practicing for now and wait until tomorrow to continue improving his proficiency with the Iron Fist technique. He had a feeling that it wouldn't be long before he could advance to the next major realm of the Iron Fist technique. If Wang, who heard Qin Feng's words, he would probably be so furious that he would spit blood. He had spent decades practicing the Iron Fist technique, barely reaching the limit-breaking level. Qin Feng's speed of cultivation was so fast that he felt it was still somewhat slow. After extinguishing the lamp, looking at Lin Shui's slightly bashful face, Qin Feng smiled and said, "My lady, it's late. We should rest now." Lin Shui lowered her head, her voice like a whisper. "I'll listen to you, husband. Tonight, let's have 2 rounds. I'll listen to you, husband." The night passed. The next day, Qin Feng woke up feeling refreshed. However, recalling the information from yesterday, he felt a bit regretful. You have completed a delightful night of intimacy. Your yin-yang technique skill has increased by 10. Skill yin-yang technique entry progress 20. Although he wanted to gain more proficiency, unfortunately, there seemed to be a daily limit roughly around 10 points per night. Qin Feng pondered these things, thinking he could study this aspect more in the future. Today, Qin Feng chose not to enter the mountains. He planned to practice the Iron Fist technique more and assess his current strength. He felt that he should have no problem against a first-level martial artist. However, he did not know what the outcome would be against a second-level martial artist. With Lin Shui beside him, he did not want to stir up any trouble. What he did not know was that at this moment within the Huang family, Huang Haixing had an extremely grim expression. Looking at the steward Lu Hao before him, he said coldly, "What did you say?" Wang Hu and the others died at the jaws of beasts. At this moment Huang Haixing's expression was exceptionally grim. It was truly laughable. How could a hunter living by hunting and a first-level martial artist like Wang Hu die at the jaws of a beast? The steward Lu Hao standing in front of him also had a somewhat grim expression. "Yes, my lord. When I tracked them, I found the bodies of the other two on the outskirts." Wang Hu's body, however, was found closer to the inner area located just outside Qing Wolf Valley. Lu Hao's words fell. Huang's face, which had shown some anger, also turned slightly grim in an instant. Died just outside Qing Wolf Valley. Huang Haixing's eyes flickered between light and dark. After a moment, he took a deep breath and said coldly, "That Shinfeng kid, was he confirmed to have been affected by demonic energy?" Lu Hao bowed his head and replied, "Yes, my lord. I personally saw Shinfeng affected by demonic energy before leaving." Huang Haixing sneered, "This is rather interesting. Even a first-level martial artist would die under the invasion of demonic energy. How did he survive?" The steward Lu Hao, obediently bowing his head, seemed to have thought of something, and said with a serious expression, "My lord, do you think that Shinfeng could be a gifted individual?" Huang Haixing laughed at this, saying, "Gifted individuals are 1 in 10,000. Only those whose ancestors were top-tier powerhouses might produce a gifted individual. This Black Mountain village is just an ordinary village. It's impossible for a gifted individual to appear." He then said coldly, "The information about Qing Wolf Valley must not be leaked, otherwise if the demon patrol is alerted it will be troublesome. First investigate what exactly happened. Then in the next few days take action to deal with that Shinfeng. As for that inborn child beside him, although the forced effect might be slightly weaker, it's better than wasting time." Lu Hao respectfully said, "Yes, I will take care of it right away." Only the head of the Huang family remained seated, his eyes gleaming coldly as he murmured, "From what my elder brother means, it seems someone has recently set their sights on Heishan. Could it be that other information has been leaked? What a hassle." Shinfeng was unaware of the information circulating within the Huang family. In the courtyard, he practiced the Iron Fist technique. You have practiced the Iron Fist technique, and your proficiency in the technique has increased by 1. A morning passed, and Shinfeng glanced at the panel information, noting that his proficiency in the Iron Fist technique had reached 24 of the entry level. "I wonder if there are any methods to speed up the progress." Shinfeng pondered. After all, according to the information recorded in the Iron Fist Technique Manual, the training of martial arts is related to certain supplementary secret medicines. If he had the corresponding secret medicines, his training speed might be even faster. Unfortunately, the manual did not provide such details. Shinfeng contemplated that even without the corresponding secret medicines, combining other tonics that boost vitality might also accelerate his training speed. However, to purchase such supplementary medicines, he would have to go to the county town Haishi City. Located about 70 miles away from Heishan village, their village used to form groups of dozens when there was a large supply of pelts and similar goods to head to Heiyun City. Now that the hunting team leader was dead, it was clear that he would not be able to find anyone to go with him for a while. This thought had to be set aside for now. Since I have the panel, I might as well focus on increasing my proficiency first. Shinfeng decided in his heart that at the very least he needed to break through the limit once before heading to Haishi City. In the meantime, Shinfeng also went to the grain store at the village entrance to buy several dozen jin of rice and some pork. After lunch, his skill in nutritional absorption increased a bit. In the afternoon, he continued to grind his proficiency in the Iron Fist technique, feeling that this should be the most powerful method he could enhance for now. A day passed. His proficiency in the Iron Fist technique had reached 45 of the entry level. As for his concern about the Huang family causing trouble due to Wang Hu's death, it had not materialized. He could finally relax. After all, focusing on self-improvement was the priority. Another night passed. Panel information. Name: Shinfeng technique, Iron Fist technique, entry progress, 45, skills, nutritional absorption proficiency, 15, basic archery proficiency, 41, yin-yang technique, entry progress, 30, forest running proficiency, 11, trap technique proficiency, 11, primary talent, innate strength, increases strength by 1 point daily, 100 steps, to penetrate yang, as if walking on flat ground, nimble-fingered. The newly added point of strength was due to the enhancement from innate strength. Shinfeng could feel himself growing stronger. He prepared to advance his Iron Fist technique to a new realm today, hoping to awaken a new talent. However, while he was practicing today, the Liu family next door was quite lively. Their son Liu Yuan, who had been sent to Haishi City, had returned. He was also Chun Feng's childhood friend, who had been sent to a blacksmith shop in Haishi City to learn blacksmithing a year ago due to his strong physique. As Chen Feng continued to practice the iron fist technique in the afternoon, he was surprised when Lu Yuan called out from outside the courtyard, "Chungu, are you practicing martial arts?" Chen Feng smiled upon seeing Lu Yuan and replied, "Just getting some exercise. You are developing quite well." After all, he was just slowly building the framework of the iron fist technique. His speed was slow, and he was not worried about being recognized. However, upon seeing Lu Yuan, Chen Feng was somewhat astonished. Lu Yuan was now nearly 2 meters tall with a robust figure that was intimidating just to look at. The awe in the eyes of other villagers when they looked at Lu Yuan was enough to illustrate this. Lu Yuan nodded, saying, "So that's how it is. Chenggu, if you want to practice martial arts, don't try to figure it out on your own. Practicing martial arts requires guidance, and some techniques come with supplementary secret medicines, otherwise it's very easy to injure oneself." Chen Feng stopped upon hearing this, somewhat puzzled. "Xiao Yuan, you've been in the city for a long time. Can you tell me about training in martial arts? If I want to learn martial arts, how can I get guidance?" He had only seen some superficial information from the Iron Fist. Having spent a year in the county town, Lu Yuan clearly knew more than Chen Feng, who was from the village. Lu Yuan smiled and said, "Chungu, I only know some superficial information, but since you want to know, I'll share it with you. In Haishi City, there are several ways to learn martial arts. The simplest is to pay to enter a martial arts school. There are about dozens of formal martial arts schools in the city where you can learn for a fee. Secondly, there are many gangs in the city. Joining these gangs, if you dare to fight, you can also learn martial arts. Third, you can join some family forces, as these big families preserve martial arts. These are the methods that ordinary people can easily access. There is also the most difficult method, which is to join the official organization, the Demon Patrol Division. If you can pass the assessment, you can learn formal techniques, and your status will directly cross social classes." Chen Feng was somewhat surprised, saying, "Demon Patrol Division." Lu Yuan nodded and said, "Yes, this can be said to be the most powerful force in our Deqian dynasty today, overseeing the world, and extremely formidable." There was also a hint of longing in his eyes as he said, "If one could join the Demon Patrol Division, it would be like directly crossing social classes. Even the county magistrate cannot interfere with the Demon Patrol Division. By the way, I heard you encountered demons the other day. The Demon Patrol Division specializes in dealing with demons." Chen Feng was surprised and asked, "They specifically deal with demons?" He reflected, recalling the horrific scene of demons devouring people that had lingered in his mind. Moreover, the drop of diluted evil god's blood he had refined left him with immense curiosity. He had some thoughts that seemed that if he wanted to learn more about this information, he must look into what the Demon Patrol Division was all about in the future. "I wonder how one can join the Demon Patrol Division?" Chen Feng continued to ask. Lu Yuan shook his head and said, "I don't know about that. I have only heard that the Demon Patrol Division recruits powerful martial artists or some geniuses. I don't know the specifics of how it works." Chen Feng did not ask further upon hearing this. Clearly Lu Yuan did not know much about it either. Chen Feng then asked with some confusion, "By the way, you mentioned that powerful families also train their own martial artists. Is that Huang Yuan why outside our village considered a family?" He had always been somewhat worried about the power of the Huang family. If the Huang family was not strong, he had considered directly eliminating them. Hearing this, Lu Yuan quickly shook his head and said, "The Huang family definitely doesn't count. At most they have 3 to 5 entry-level warriors. Those families that can be called families in the county town have at least several dozen warriors with middle-level warriors. However, I heard that there is a very powerful force in the county town called Huang Jiazhuang, which belongs to one of the more powerful family factions in the county. I wonder if that Huang Yuan Y is related to Huang Jiazhuang. If there is a connection, we must be cautious." Chen Feng, somewhat bewildered, said, "So that's how it is. 3 to 5 entry-level warriors are not weak, and as for middle-level warriors, well, that's just the middle 3 ranks. He still doesn't know how strong they are." Lu Yuan continued, "By the way, Chen Feng, if you go hunting in the mountains recently, you should still be careful. Recently, for some unknown reason, many unfamiliar warriors have appeared in Haishi City. It seems they are looking for something. Our blacksmith shop has accepted many weapon orders, and I need to assist my master, which is why I came back early. If you go to the county town in the future, you can find me at Yang's blacksmith shop. If I'm not at home, please help look after it." Chen Feng smiled and replied, "Of course." He then continued to exchange some information with Lu Yuan, which helped Chen Feng understand more about the situation in Haishi City. After Lu Yuan returned home, Chen Feng stood still deep in thought. He sighed inwardly, gangs, families, government, local officials, the beginning of chaos. The Daqian dynasty exerts its pressure over the world, vast and boundless, with its territory generally divided into 9 provinces and 36 prefectures, each prefecture comprising dozens of county towns, and each county town containing numerous villages and towns. Heishan village, where they lived, is just one of those small villages. The situation at the upper levels is unknown, but the lower society is filled with various gang conflicts. The blacksmith shop, where Lu Yuan works, is just a minor faction. As for those who came from the city, they are searching for something in Heishan. He felt it had nothing to do with him, especially since he wasn't keen on going to Heishan recently. He was fine just honing his. After dinner that evening, Qinfeng looked at his iron fist skill proficiency, which had reached 91 of the entry level. Instead of going straight to sleep, he continued to practice martial arts in the dark of night. Whoosh. It seemed slow, but if someone got closer they would hear a whistling sound accompanying Qinfeng's swinging. The sound was low like a tiger's roar. Qinfeng felt a bit of anticipation, thinking that he might elevate his iron fist skill to a higher level today. He wondered what kind of talent would awaken within him. Meanwhile, in the Liu family, Liu Yuan could see Qinfeng practicing martial arts through the window. He sighed inwardly. It seems Brother Chun was stimulated by witnessing demons eating humans a few days ago. What a pity, missing the best age for martial arts training with no one to guide him. With such a rustic style of practice, he won't achieve much. After watching for a while, and seeing nothing special, Liu Yuan lost interest. He hoped to chat more with Uncle Liu and Aunt Liu. Liu Yuan looked forward to developing well in Haishi City, so that he could bring his parents there in the future. On the other side, in the Huang family compound, the atmosphere was extremely oppressive. Bang! A cup was smashed to pieces. Huang Haixing sat in the main seat with a grim expression, coldly saying, "Are you saying the news has leaked out?" Liu Hao below looked worried and said, "Yes, sir. According to our information, there are already some rumors in Haishi City that there is a magical blade secret realm in Heishan. Although it's just a rumor, it has already attracted a lot of attention. Just today, several groups have entered Heishan." Huang Haixing's expression was dark and unstable. He coldly said, "Damn it, our Huang family has been here for decades and have just begun to grasp some clues only for it to be leaked out. It seems there are those who don't want me to reap this reward." Huang Haixing's face held a cold smile, and a glimmer of cold light flickered in his eyes. In a short time, he could figure out what was going on. Then he coldly said, "Liu Hao arranged for someone to bring that Yin Xingzi back tonight. We will take the lead and use that Yin Xingzi for the sacrifice. This will be our opportunity for a meteoric rise. Be careful, and try not to draw the attention of others." Liu Hao the steward looked surprised, and said, "Yes." He had a hint of excitement in his eyes. There was obviously an opportunity for a meteoric rise. However, they had not found a suitable time until now, which is why they had stayed hidden for so long. Now was it finally about to begin. Your Iron Fist Skill Proficiency 1. Your Iron Fist skill has reached a proficiency of 1. You have awakened a new talent, Extraordinary Arm Strength. Your Strength 2, Speed 1. In the night, Qinfeng looked at the new information refreshing on the panel. A joyful expression on his face finally broke through. In that moment, he felt a surge of immense energy flooding into his arms. He sensed that his arms were rapidly undergoing transformation, the flesh becoming more refined. Name: Qinfeng. Cultivation, first rank, refining skin stage. Skill: Iron Fist Skill Proficiency 1. Basic talent, Extraordinary Arm Strength. Your arms can unleash double your own strength. As the information flooded in, Qinfeng felt delighted, wondering if this was such a talent. He sensed the strength. He simply tightened his fist slightly. Crack! He could hear a subtle sound of air. The power contained within had increased compared to before. Moreover, this was without even using the power of the Extraordinary Arm Strength talent. What surprised him even more was that with the breakthrough of the Iron Fist skill, although it mainly enhanced his arms, it also subtly strengthened his entire body. His legs were slightly stronger, thus enhancing his speed. Moreover, his cultivation finally broke through to the first rank. Touching his skin, he felt delighted. His skin had also become much tougher. If he were to encounter Wang Hu again, Qinfeng felt that he wouldn't need to escape. A single punch would likely be enough to eliminate Wang Hu. Then, under Lin Shui's concerned gaze, he turned off the lights and rested. It was a delightful night. However, just in the middle of the night, Qinfeng suddenly opened his eyes, looking towards the door. Outside, Liu Hao was leading an entry-level warrior arriving outside Qinfeng's house. With a loud bang, the door was forcefully slammed open. A man in black then rushed directly toward the room where Qinfeng and his companions were resting. However, in the next instant, a thunderous roar erupted. A fist shot out from the darkness and struck the black-clad man right on the throat. Before he could even react, his throat was crushed by the punch. "You?" The black-clad man's body went limp. Qinfeng stepped out from the darkness, his expression grim. Behind him stood Lin Shui, her face filled with worry. Qinfeng said, "Stay home and don't move. We'll go check." Lin Shui said worriedly, "All right, husband, be careful." Qinfeng picked up his bow and hatchet. He lifted the black-clad man's mask, and upon seeing the face underneath, his eyes blazed with even more murderous intent. "Damn it, Huang Haixing." The face beneath the mask belonged to someone from Squire Huang's household outside the village. He had seen him before. How could he have imagined that Huang Laosi would dare to send someone to assassinate him in the night? His heart was a mix of shock and fury. If he were still his original self, he would surely have died tonight. A few hundred meters outside the house, Liu Hao stood in the night, a puzzled expression on his face. What's going on? He squinted at Qinfeng's house. A dull thud. By now the job should have been finished, and he should have been bringing Lin Shui back to report. Why was there still no movement? Just as he was about to go and check, a sharp whoosh suddenly broke through the air, followed by a heavy thud. What Lu Hao's face changed instantly as he barely dodged the arrow. How could this be? His expression turned ugly, and in the next moment a figure charged at him from the darkness. Iron Fist! Chen Feng shouted coldly. Lu Hao barely managed to block, but the impact sent him flying several meters away. Chen Feng's eyes gleamed brightly in the night. Stronger than Wang Hu, but only by a little. Again, Lu Hao's face was filled with disbelief. A martial artist? How did you suddenly become a martial artist? Chen Feng's eyes were icy. Steward Lu, it really is you. Die. He threw another punch, simultaneously activating his extraordinary arm strength talent. Lu Hao, seeing Chen Feng's overwhelming momentum, grimaced and snarled. It seems I can't let you live. He too unsealed his cultivation power. However, in the next instant a deafening boom erupted. Beneath the dull sound, Lu Hao's arms were shattered. Then the blow landed on his chest, crushing it instantly. How? How? Lu Hao's face turned pale, his eyes full of unwillingness. He tried to say something, but eventually fell silent forever. Chen Feng stood there panting heavily. He glanced at the corpse on the ground, his face slightly pale. However, with his previous experience in Heishan, killing didn't bother him much. On the contrary, he felt his blood flowing faster. His whole body trembled with excitement. Am I naturally a fervent warmonger? Chen Feng thought to himself. Phew. He exhaled lightly, calming his excitement. Just then a new message refreshed on his panel. You used Iron Fist to kill an enemy. Iron Fist proficiency 5. You have killed several martial artist enemies consecutively and awakened a new skill, killing intent. Skill killing intent initiation progress 2. Is killing intent also a skill? Chen Feng was surprised. He wondered what kind of talent this skill could awaken. But now was not the time to ponder. Looking at the corpses on the ground, he needed to dispose of them first. After all, though Dakian was somewhat chaotic now, a few secret deaths could be blamed on demons. But if someone was openly killed and reported to the authorities, there would definitely be trouble. Fortunately, Chen Feng looked around. Despite the loud commotion of the battle at night, the villagers of Heishan village didn't come out to see what was happening. Almost all had bolted their doors. Even families that had lights on quickly extinguished them and shut tight, afraid of. Chen Feng shook his head with a light laugh. He had nearly forgotten that this world was different from his past life. Soon he grabbed a corpse in each hand and under the cover of night dashed to the outskirts of Heishan. He tossed them directly into the mountains. The smell of blood would easily attract wild beasts at night. He watched from a distance for a while, and soon beasts arrived, dragging the two corpses into the forest. Only then did he leave. Naturally, he had searched the two bodies. However, he only found several hundred taels of silver notes on Steward Lu. What he most desired, cultivation techniques and martial skills, were not there. He had to give up. On his way back, he saw the courtyard of Huang Laosi in the distance, brightly lit. Figures flickered occasionally. Chen Feng's face turned cold, his eyes full of killing intent. He was also puzzled. Why was Huang Laosi so determined to attack him? Was it really just for a hunting license? His killing intent boiled within him, but seeing the brightly lit courtyard with at least several martial artists and dozens of ordinary people, he felt pressured. He still felt some pressure. Endure for now. Once I've grown stronger, I'll wipe out this Huang Laosi. Chen Feng suppressed his anger and thought. Meanwhile, in the Huang family courtyard, Huang Laosi paced back and forth. The yard was filled with dozens of hired servants and martial artists. He kept glancing toward the distant village, his expression extremely grim. What's going on? Why hasn't he returned after so long? It was just dealing with a mere commoner. How could it take so long? In the yard, the dozens of other figures were all dressed in black robes with black cloth covering their faces. The valuables in the yard had mostly been packed up. In recent days, martial artists had been constantly entering Heishan. Traces of the Xuanma department had even appeared. He naturally didn't want to risk staying here for a mere Chen Feng. He had already prepared to take that Yinshengzi and evacuate from this place. Unexpectedly, so much time had passed, and Lu Hao still hadn't returned. Go check what's going on with Lu Hao. Has something happened to that Yinshengzi? Huang Laosi said grimly. Yes, a black-clad man replied respectfully. He leaped onto the high wall in a single bound and was about to head toward Chen Feng's house. However, in the next instant, a sharp sound cut through the night. Swoosh! An arrow pierced the darkness and directly penetrated the black-clad man's throat. You used basic arrow technique to kill an enemy. Basic arrow technique proficiency 5. You killed an enemy. Killing intent proficiency 3. On a large tree not far away, Chen Feng had also tied a black cloth over his face. His eyes were fixed on Huang Laosi and the others in the courtyard, gleaming brightly as he muttered, "If I don't kill you tonight, I won't be able to sleep." Chen Feng's face was cold, his eyes filled with murderous intent. It had only been a few days since he transmigrated, yet he had already suffered several assassination attempts orchestrated by Huang Laosi. He knew he was no match for the Huang family at present, but he couldn't swallow this grievance. That was why he had come to the outskirts of the Huang residence, hoping to vent his anger. However, he never expected to witness such a scene. Huang Laosi had gathered so many men, it looked like they were preparing to retreat. Chen Feng's eyes flickered with surprise. What's going on, he wondered. Could it be related to what Lu Yuan said about the recent situation in Blackstone City? Ruminating, Chen Feng recalled Lu Yuan's words. Recently, many unfamiliar martial artists had arrived in Blackstone City, all searching for something within the Black Mountain. Was Squire Huang worried that more martial artists would come and uncover some secret? This eerie situation of the Huang family involuntarily reminded Chen Feng of the demon-devouring scene the original owner had witnessed. It was that very incident that had forced Wang Hu and his men. Initially, Chen Feng had no particular thoughts about it, but now a lightning bolt of realization flashed through his mind. Demons. Wang Hu and the others must have known that going further toward Green Wolf Valley would be dangerous. Could the Huang family be connected to demons? As these thoughts crossed his mind, Chen Feng's expression darkened further. And that term, inborn child, he had overheard from Huang Laosi. Was he referring to Schwer? Was that why the Huang family kept targeting him? Was it all because of Schwer that the Huang family had been attacking him? Countless ideas flashed through Chen Feng's mind. He longed to uncover the truth, but he had too little information to go on. Moreover, now that he had shot and killed the martial artist who was about to barge into his home to seize Lin Shui, the Huang family courtyard erupted into chaos. A large number of martial artists quickly gathered. Someone cried out, an expert archer. In the pitch-black night, a single arrow had felled an initiated martial artist. When they saw the arrow lodged firmly through the victim's throat, terror seized their hearts. Many faces turned pale with shock. Meanwhile, Chen Feng, concealed in the tree, had just speculated that the Huang family might be colluding with demons. His heart skipped a beat. No wonder the Huang family had gathered so many martial artists, far beyond the mere 3 to 5 first-rank practitioners the outside world assumed. There might even be second-rank or even third-rank martial artists among them. I must be cautious, Chen Feng thought to himself. With that in mind, he tried to hide his figure even more stealthily. The Huang family wanted to abduct his Schwer, so he couldn't retreat easily. He glanced at the sky. Daybreak was not far off. He wondered if he could hold out until dawn. Just then, as these thoughts passed through his mind, a new message refreshed. You have successfully concealed yourself in the darkness, deceiving dozens of enemies. You have awakened You have remained hidden for 10 minutes. Your stealth skill proficiency 1. You have successfully deceived the enemy through concealment. Your stealth skill proficiency 1. Seeing the panel update, a glimmer of surprise flashed in Chen Feng's eyes. He could passively awaken skills as well. And after awakening the new stealth skill, vague techniques for hiding his form surfaced in his mind, allowing him to conceal himself more effectively. Meanwhile, in the Huang family courtyard, Huang Laosi, surrounded by his men, looked grim. He scanned the surroundings and called out, which friend is passing by? If you are in difficulty, Huang is willing to offer 500 taels of silver and befriend you. What do you think? Chen Feng heard this and cursed inwardly. 500 taels. This Huang Laosi is far too wealthy, all from squeezing the people's blood and sweat. Huang Laosi is treacherous and vicious. I must never let him know that I am merely a newly initiated martial artist, nor reveal my true identity, or he'll be in deep trouble. Chen Feng's face darkened as he spoke, and in that instant his expression shifted slightly, a cold sneer curling at his lips. It turned out that while Huang Laosi was shouting, a figure secretly slipped out of the courtyard from another corner. He had already reached the outside of the courtyard, dressed entirely in black robes and wearing a black hood. If not for the enhanced eyesight Chen Feng had gained after awakening his 100 steps through Yang talent, he might have let that martial artist escape unnoticed. Once that man made a move, Chen Feng would be discovered. Under the siege of dozens of martial artists, he stood no chance of escaping. Suppressing his thoughts, Chen Feng snorted inwardly, 100 steps through Yang. The next moment he drew his bow and loosed an arrow. A sharp whoosh cut through the air. The martial artist's expression shifted as he heard the sound in the darkness and shouted, over there. He pointed in the general direction of Chen Feng's hiding place, attempting to dodge the arrow. But in the next instant a sharp pain lanced through him. The arrow pierced through his heart. He managed only a single scream before crashing to the ground. This scene drained even more color from the faces of those in the courtyard. It's Brother Niu. Brother Niu is dead. An expert archer. It must be an expert archer. Chen Feng initially didn't understand why the courtyard erupted in uproar. The next moment, the refreshed panel information enlightened him. You have killed a second-rank martial artist using basic archery. Your basic archery proficiency 20. You have killed a second-rank martial artist. Your killing intent proficiency 10. You have successfully maintained stealth and concealed your position. Your stealth skill proficiency 5. A stream of messages refreshed, and Chen Feng's eyes widened in surprise. A second-rank martial artist. In such a remote mountain village, one of Huang Lao's underlings is already a second-rank practitioner. Shock filled Chen Feng's eyes. His suspicion that Huang Laosi was colluding with demons and had a hidden identity grew even stronger. Moreover, seeing that the basic archery proficiency had reached 80, he felt a flicker of anticipation. It seems very likely that my basic archery will soon advance to a higher level. What will the 100 steps through Yang talent evolve into then? This thought filled him with hope. And having successfully killed a second-rank martial artist, confidence swelled within Chen Feng as he watched the chaos unfold in the courtyard. He sneered coldly. Swish, swish. Amid the confusion, he fired 2 more arrows in quick succession. In the darkness, cries of ah, echoed, and 2 more black-clad martial artists fell with arrows through their throats. You have killed a first-rank martial artist. Your basic archery proficiency 10. Your killing intent proficiency has increased. Your stealth skill proficiency has increased. Your basic archery proficiency has reached 100. Then with a flicker the information refreshed. Your basic archery has reached mastery proficiency 1. Your initial talent 100 steps through Yang has evolved into an intermediate talent. Intermediate talent 3 stars in a row within 150 meters. You can instantly shoot 3 arrows in succession, either dispersed or focused on a single target with enough power to penetrate a 1-foot thick wooden board. Looking at the information on the panel, a trace of surprise flickered in Chen Feng's eyes. 1 foot thick, that's a third of a meter. If it could penetrate a board of that thickness, how terrifying would the power and penetration of his arrows be? And as for the human body, even a low-rank martial artist could not easily withstand it, could they? Martial artists in this world are divided into 9 ranks, with every 3 ranks forming a tier: low 3 ranks, middle 3 ranks, and high 3 ranks. Martial artists of the low 3 ranks were still tempering their skin, flesh, tendons, and bones. Chen Feng's eyes gleamed. This level of archery had directly elevated his attack power to a tremendous degree. Moreover, his killing intent was constantly increasing along with the enemies he slew. Skill killing intent beginner progress 38. Again, a flash of light passed through Chen Feng's eyes as he thought. Meanwhile, within the Huang family courtyard, more martial artists were being shot down. Terror filled the eyes of some martial artists. A divine archer. Take cover. Damn it, who is it? The Xuanma division. This is horrifying, master, what should we do? Many martial artists were terrified. The sight of an enemy hidden in the darkness filled their hearts with dread, especially since they didn't even know the enemy's direction. Huang Lao's face turned grim as he bellowed. It can't be the Xuanma division. Members of the Xuanma division are at least 4th-rank martial artists. They wouldn't resort to such sneak attacks. That direction, charge together. Judging by the power of these arrows, it's at most an ordinary 2nd or 3rd-rank martial artist. Once we find him, he's dead. Whoever kills him gets a reward of 1,000 taels of silver and 10 chi blood pills. Huang Lao roared out the bounty for slaying the enemy in the night. His eyes were icy. If he acted himself, he could certainly kill this ant. But he also worried that if he made a move, he might truly attract the attention of the Xuanma division. Especially with so many incidents happening recently in Black Mountain, and a large number of martial artists gathered there, he couldn't guarantee that nothing would go wrong. Under a heavy reward, there will always be brave men. In that instant, as Huang Lao finished speaking, many martial artists who had been hiding in the shadows changed expressions. Greed flickered in their eyes. After a moment of hesitation, someone shouted, "Yes, kill him. If he were truly powerful, why would he be sneaking around? Right, let's strike." With cold shouts, the one who spoke first made his move, and 3 or 4 others followed, constantly shifting their positions in the darkness as they charged toward Chen Feng's location. These were martial artists who had trained in hardened techniques. They believed that once they located his position and moved tactically, they could withstand Chen Feng's arrows. However, in the next moment, under the cover of night, Chen Feng chuckled to himself. Come on. In a brief instant, he released 3 arrows. Whistling sounds cut through the night. No. The 3 charging martial artists' eyes widened in horror, but the next moment screams rang out. The arrows had pierced all 3 throats almost simultaneously. Some clutched their necks, never expecting to be struck at the same time. You used basic archery to kill 3 martial artists, gaining 24 proficiency. You killed 3 enemies, gaining 30 killing intent proficiency. Skill basic archery mastery progress, 25. Skill killing intent beginner progress, 75. While Chen Feng was continuously slaying enemies. On a small hill several thousand meters away from him, a figure had been staring at the Huang family residence. In the figure's fair hand was a compass-like object with a red dot flashing continuously in the direction of the Huang family courtyard. The person murmured softly, "The aura of Yaoma cult heretics. It seems some martial artist has already discovered them and is attacking this Yaoma cult hideout." Standing on the slope watching the battlefield of the Yaoma cult heretics, her expression was calm. A cultist of this level didn't warrant her intervention. However, what surprised her was that when Chen Feng, hidden in the shadows, didn't shoot, even she had been fooled. Furthermore, she marveled at Chen Feng's archery. An archer no less. On the demon battlefield, they are the primary attackers. To appear in this small village, I wonder which force trained him. The person spoke softly. She did not act directly, deciding to see what this divine archer could accomplish. Originally, her expression had remained calm, admiring Chen Feng's archery, This level of skill would be considered decent even in some Xuanma academies. However, when Chen Feng unleashed 3 arrows in rapid succession and instantly killed 3 enemies, the figure on the hill changed expression, her eyes filled with shock. 3 stars in a row. Who is this? An archer of this caliber could already prove immensely valuable on the battlefield. Her expression shifted. In fact, her eyes turned serious and she prepared to head toward that location. Such a divine archer must not be destroyed at this moment. However, at that very moment inside the Huang residence, Huang Laosi, Huang Haixing, wore an extremely grim expression. Damn it, how did this happen? Bastard. Even if I have to expose myself today, I will kill you. Huang Haixing's face was full of fury. At first he had been able to hide behind these people. He had done so to avoid revealing himself. But now with Chen Feng's arrow attacks, he looked around. The dozens of martial artists from before were now only 3 left. Moreover, the remaining 3 were pale, hiding behind rockeries and walls, their faces filled with terror. The Xuanma division. It must be the Xuanma division. Most likely a 3rd-ranked divine archer. We're doomed. Master, we dare not go out. Once we show our heads, we'll be killed. The remaining few were pale and terrified. Even though they coveted the 1,000 taels of silver and chi blood pills, they dared not make a move now. Playing the coward. Huang Haixing's face twisted with rage as he let out a cold shout and charged directly toward Chen Feng's direction. Since you're asking for death, they'll kill you first, then deal with that Yin Shengzi. Moreover, in that instant, a porcelain bottle suddenly appeared in Huang Haixing's hand. The moment the bottle materialized, both Chen Feng and the figure watching from 1,000 meters away changed expression drastically. It was a white, translucent porcelain bottle about the size of 2 fingers. From the outside, one could see that the bottle contained a vivid scarlet liquid. Chen Feng's expression shifted for the moment this bottle appeared. His nutrient absorption skill trembled once more. This situation was similar to the last time he had returned to the land where the demon-devoured humans roamed. The time he had touched and absorbed a wisp of evil god blood. A glimmer of anticipation rose in Chen Feng's eyes. Even that blood diluted to a 10th of its potency brought me dozens of proficiency points. If I could absorb this whole bottle of evil god blood, might it directly trigger another evolution of the nutrient absorption skill? Chen Feng was lost in thought. Yet the next moment his expression changed. After he took out the bottle, Huang Haixing let out a sinister laugh and directly gulped down a large mouthful of the evil god blood. My evil god blood. Chen Feng's face turned extremely dark, a chill gripping his heart. He had already regarded the evil god blood as his own, never expecting that Huang Laosi would drink it. Moreover, right after Huang Laosi swallowed it, his aura exploded violently. Boom. It was as if a thunderclap sounded on flat ground. Huang Laosi's cultivation instantly surged. Originally, Huang Laosi appeared to be an ordinary person, but in that brief moment, he shot up from a commoner to the 1st-grade realm. And that was only the beginning. Huang Laosi's eyes turned bloodshot. On his exposed skin, streaks of crimson marks began to appear. His hair also became a strange blood red. Half-demon. So it really was you last time. Seeing this transformation, Chen Feng's face darkened as he spoke in a low voice. Demons. In the Dacian dynasty, every commoner knew that any demon encountered was to be slain without mercy. Demons devoured the souls and flesh of warriors while warriors hunted demons. Only those warriors who had defected to the demons gathered into forces known as the demon cult and the evil god's followers. At that moment, Huang Haixing charging forward finally caught a blurry glimpse of Chen Feng. He heard Chen Feng's words. Instantly, Huang Haixing's murderous aura surged even more fiercely, and he roared madly, "Ah, Chen Feng. It's you. How could you have such archery? Did you inherit the demon blade's legacy?" The moment Huang Haixing saw Chen Feng, his face twisted in fury. He sneered coldly, "So it's you. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Capture you first, then Lin Shui, and turn you both into a pair of tragic sweethearts." Huang Haixing's chilling words made Chen Feng, who was about to flee, halt in his tracks. Triple-linked shots. Chen Feng's voice was icy. In that instant, he shot 3 arrows in rapid succession, all aimed straight at Huang Haixing's heart. But the arrows had barely left the bow when Huang Haixing shattered them with a single punch. A contemptuous smile curled on his lips. "Such weak power can't even crack my defenses. Kneel before me." Little did Huang Haixing expect that after smashing the first arrow, 2 more would follow. Swish, swish, swish. As space seemed to tear, Huang Haixing's face turned pale. He could only barely dodge the vital spots. The next moment, both arrows pierced through his arm. A mouthful of blood sprayed out. Huang Haixing's expression changed as his left arm was instantly. Chen Feng stared at Huang Haixing, a cold smile on his face. Not so impressive. Though Huang Haixing's aura seemed fearsome, it clearly couldn't withstand his arrows. If he retreated and kept his distance, he could kite Huang Haixing to death. But his speed was far inferior to Huang Haixing's. And in that moment, after being severely wounded, Huang Haixing's face twisted into a savage snarl again. He then took out the remaining half bottle of evil god blood and poured it all into his mouth. Instantly his aura skyrocketed. Suddenly he broke through a boundary. 4th grade, Chen Feng said grimly. Though Huang Haixing was still within his arrow range, his speed had increased drastically. Another triple-linked shots attack was shattered by Huang Haixing, who traded injuries for success. Then before Chen Feng could fully react, Huang Haixing was already in front of him, bellowing kneel and striking down with a heavy palm. Despite his grim expression, Chen Feng did not hesitate. He shouted, Iron Fist Art. Extraordinary arm strength. As he threw a punch, he activated the extraordinary arm strength talent. His strength instantly multiplied twofold. Boom. He barely managed to meet Huang Haixing's attack. Amid the thunderous clash, Chen Feng's assault was obliterated and he was sent flying. With a heavy thud, he landed on one knee. His face pale, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Such power. Chen Feng's expression darkened. This strength completely surpassed his current level. Watching Huang Haixing get up and charge again, Chen Feng's mind raced. His speed was not slow, and combined with the stealth skill's concealment. In this darkness, if he could slip into the woods or shadows, he would have a good chance of shaking off Huang Haixing. With triple-linked shots, he might even be able to shoot him down. With that in mind, he decided to flee immediately. Seeing Chen Feng get up, as if still full of vitality, Huang Haixing was somewhat surprised. At most 1st grade, and you're still alive. He was genuinely shocked. In a flash, greed flickered in his eyes. You have bones and strength beyond ordinary people. You're a warrior who has awakened a talent. How did you awaken? Tell me what you know, and I'll give you a quick death. Huang Haixing continued his pursuit. He never considered the possibility that Chen Feng could escape. In his eyes, Chen Feng was now a lamb to the slaughter, completely under his control. A cold smile appeared on Chen Feng's face. He was about to speak, but at that moment a whistling sound cut through the night. Flash. Not good. In the darkness, a streak of crimson light tore through the air and slammed directly into Huang Haixing. Huang Haixing was blasted away, spewing blood from his mouth. His face turned deathly pale, and he cried out in terror, Flying Sword. The Demon Patrol Institute. His voice trembled with fear. He turned and fled into the distance. The porcelain bottle of evil god blood which he had been drinking cautiously was now drained completely in desperation. Oh! Amid screams, Huang Haixing's body began to mutate. In an instant his form became unusually long and gaunt. He stomped the ground, and his speed multiplied several times as he plunged into the darkness. The sword light chased after him, and a scream echoed from the blackness. Then all fell silent. Chen Feng watched the scene, his expression uncertain. What just happened? The Demon Patrol Institute. He had intended to flee, but now he remained rooted to the spot, not daring to, especially that crimson light that had sliced through the night. It left him deeply awed. With his evolved 100 steps through a leaf talent, he could barely make out some details. After talent evolution, it does not mean the original talent disappears, rather it merges into a higher level. Therefore Chen Feng's eyesight was enhanced. He had already prepared to flee immediately. In the darkness he planned to kite and shoot Huang Haixing to death. The sudden red light in the night directly repelled Huang Haixing, even causing him to flee in terror. Judging from the screams coming from the darkness, even if Huang Haixing did not die, he would not be much better. Moreover, what shocked Chen Feng was that the red light, if he saw correctly, was a flying sword. Was this a martial world or a cultivation world? Various thoughts flashed through his mind. Just then a figure descended from the darkness. She had a slender figure dressed in red robes with a delicate face and a strand of hair at her temples lifted by the breeze. She seemed like the girl next door, yet she exuded a brisk and fiery temperament. As soon as she landed, she said directly, "These worshippers of the demon cult really deserve to die. I was careless. He actually had a complete evil god bloodline. He destroyed most of his body but still escaped. But he took my sword energy. He won't be able to act for the next few months. Where are you from? How did you discover this demon cult gathering place?" In the darkness, the red-robed woman looked at Chen Feng and asked directly. Her eyes seemed to flicker with flame. Her gaze, almost tangible, swept over Chen Feng. Before he could answer, the red-robed woman frowned slightly and said, "Are you already 18? Awakening your martial talent at this age is a bit late. It seems you lacked resources before, so you were delayed. Looking at the strength in your hands, you awakened a strength-type martial talent. And your eyesight is also enhanced." As she spoke, the red-robed woman seemed regretful. With just a glance, the red-robed woman had clearly understood Chen Feng's physical condition and voiced the doubt. Chen Feng was somewhat shocked by her words. He hadn't expected that she would discern his situation after just one meet. Just now he felt his skin tighten. She must be a martial arts master. Chen Feng thought to himself. He was also amazed. He hadn't expected to encounter a stronger person in this world so soon. From the words Huang Haixing shouted before fleeing, this woman was the legendary Demon Patrol envoy. According to the information he had heard from Lu Yuan, the Demon Patrol envoy belonged to the official forces. In a short time, various thoughts flashed through his mind, and he quickly formed an idea. Chen Feng cupped his hands and said solemnly, "Thank you, fairy, for saving me. I am a native of Heishan village. 3 days ago I was forced and framed by Huang Laosi. I encountered a demon in the mountains and barely managed to escape. Since I only know archery, I have been practicing at home, but Huang Laosi refused to let it go. These past few days he has been trying to kill me. I had no choice but to fight back. I truly did not expect that Huang Laosi would be a demon. Chen Feng spoke, hiding nothing except his panel. He did not know the character or intentions of this demon patrol envoy. If she misunderstood him, she might kill him with a single sword strike. If he had been confident in ambushing Huang Haixing from the shadows, now facing this red-robed swordswoman, his entire being was screaming warnings. Too terrifying. She was definitely someone he could not contend with now. Hearing this, the red-robed woman finally showed surprise and said, "You just awakened. And you are from this village?" Chen Feng looked bewildered and said, "Yes, but I don't know what a talent is." At that moment he was thinking about the awakening and evolution of cultivation skills and talents. Was this his golden finger, or did this world also have such things? The red-robed woman glanced at Chen Feng, did not explain much, and said, "I see. These things from the Huang family are your spoils. You can take them now." Chen Feng quickly smiled and said, "If not for the fairy's final intervention, I would have died. These items should be yours." He did not know this red-robed woman's character or intention. Naturally, he would not take the initiative to claim. As he finished speaking, the red-robed woman laughed and said, "I want Stoop to covet your little things." However, the commotion here has already attracted the attention of other martial artists. "Pick 2 boxes and leave first." Chen Feng smiled and said, "Thank you, fairy." There were about 7 boxes in the field, some over a meter long, and a few were open containing clothes and such. Chen Feng had no interest in those. He then selected 2 small closed boxes near where Huang Haixing had been, each about a foot in length and width. Besides being easier to carry stealthily, these small items might also yield better rewards. The red-robed woman nodded and said, Don't wander around in the coming days. The situation in the Black Mountains has attracted many demon cult disciples. With your strength, encountering one would mean certain death. I will find you again." Chen Feng was surprised and quickly cupped his hands and said, "Yes, thank you, fairy." Then, without any attachment to the other belongings of the Huang family, he turned and left directly. After all, without the fairy's intervention, even if he could have dragged down and shot Huang Haixing, he would have been severely wounded. Or even worse. At that moment, he heard sounds of breaking air in the distance. His heart tightened. Obviously, other martial artists were arriving. As for what was happening in the Black Mountains, he had no desire to explore. He also didn't ask more. He deeply understood that the more he knew, the sooner he would die. He was not yet capable. Therefore, he turned and left without hesitation. The moment he stepped into the darkness, he activated his stealth skill. In the shadows, he made his way back. That night, he had used a large number of skills and techniques and was extremely exhausted. The only thing weighing on his mind was that Huang Haixing had escaped. From his recent interaction, the red-robed woman clearly had the ability to kill him, but for some reason, she did not strike. The red-robed woman stood there, her expression calm. When she saw Chen Feng disappear into the darkness, a hint of surprise appeared in her eyes. What is going on? He disappeared so quickly. If not for her senses, even her naked eye would have difficulty detecting Chen Feng. At that moment, the sound of breaking air landed and several figures descended outside the Huang family home. These warriors all had surging blood and qi flowing through their bodies. Upon seeing the treasures and houses in this place, greed flickered in some of their eyes. Some asked in confusion, "What's going on? We sensed a battle between peak 4th rank warriors here. Why would it happen in this place? Is this the work of demonic cultists?" When some saw the scene, their expressions turned shocked. A few even wanted to inspect what Huang Laosi had left behind. At that moment, someone noticed the woman in red who was examining the corpses. Startled, they exclaimed, "The divine phoenix, swordswoman, Yunxi." Yunxi ranked 10th on the human roll. "She's here too." Some of them spoke with awe. "We didn't know the immortal maiden was present. We'll take our leave immediately." They dared not approach even a step and directly retreated. Only a few remained, observing the scene and speculating on what had occurred. Just then the woman in red, Yunxi, smiled and said, "I merely stumbled upon a gathering of heretical cultists. It's best if everyone disperses quickly. Yes, the immortal maiden is formidable." The others, with admiration and reverence in their eyes, chose to leave immediately. Then Yunxi waved her hand, and all the items before her vanished. Under the night, she glanced toward where with a single step, she disappeared into the darkness. Traveling through the night, she held a jade token that flickered with red light. She smiled and murmured, "I wonder if this demonic cultist can bring me any surprises." On her jade token, a dim red dot moved steadily forward. It was precisely Huang Haixing who had fled earlier. Though the Demon Blade secret realm was important for she dismantling a demonic cultist stronghold would be a significant gain. At the same time, she also arranged for people to look into information about Chen Feng. As for what happened later, Chen Feng, he only knew that several warriors had appeared outside the Huang residence. Fortunately, the Huang residence was located outside Black Mountain Village. Otherwise it would have affected the village long before. Still, this made Chen Feng's heart grow heavier. The presence of these lofty warriors shattered the arrogance he had felt these past few days from awakening various I'm still too weak, I can't get cocky, Chen Feng thought to himself. Soon when he returned home, the door that had been kicked open was now shut and propped up with a wooden pole. Swear him back, Chen Feng said softly. Husband. Hearing his voice, Lin Shui behind the door exclaimed. She hastily opened a crack in the damaged door. As soon as Chen Feng entered, Lin Shui threw herself into his arms, tears streaming down her face. Husband, I was so worried about you. Are you alright? Lin Shui's body trembled. Only when she felt Chen Feng's embrace did she sense a shred of safety. Chen Feng smiled. It's alrighty, everything is resolved. Don't worry, the Huang family is gone. We don't have to fear them anymore. Lin Shui's face filled with astonishment. What? The Huang family is gone. Husband, could you? At that moment Lin Shui grew nervous, closed the door, and asked with disbelief. Chen Feng smiled. Yes, I only killed a few ordinary lackeys of the Huang family. The main reason is that a powerful warrior passed by and wiped them out. He didn't elaborate further, fearing that the more Lin Shui knew, the more she would worry. Lin Shui held Chen Feng tightly, burrowing into his arms like a kitten, and said, my husband is the strongest. Chen Feng embraced her as well. The night's events slowly eased his complicated feelings. In the darkness, the frightened Lin Shui had already fallen asleep in his arms. Chen Feng gazed into the night with bright eyes. He thought, it seems I need to head to the county town as soon as possible. Staying in a mountain village like this is not safe. He still had 200 or 300 silvertaels on him. He could rent a house in the county town first and settle down, at least ensuring the safety of himself and Shui. He didn't want to experience another night like this with someone breaking through his door. But now that calm had returned, doubts lingered in his mind. Who was that woman in red? What did she mean when she said she would come back for him? Could it be that he might join the Demon Patrol Division? Was this an opportunity to rise to prominence? With these thoughts swirling in his mind, and exhausted from the physical exertion, he soon fell into a deep sleep. Waking up at dawn, Chen Feng felt refreshed. He first checked the panel information, and when he saw the changes, surprise flickered in his eyes. I didn't get a chance to look closely yesterday. Even the killing intent skill has improved. Chen Feng thought joyfully. You successfully refined 1 day's worth of energy of strength 1. You killed several enemies. Your killing intent skill has advanced to proficiency 1. You awakened a new talent, strength 1, spirit 1. Name Chen Feng, martial art, iron fist, art, proficiency 15 skills. Looking at the panel, Chen Feng felt reassured. He was growing stronger, especially the talent of innate divine strength, which allowed him to gain 1 point of strength each day. Though it seemed small, it would accumulate endlessly. He felt that his strength was already increasing. How high would it rise if it kept accumulating like this? Moreover, what was most important was that during last night's battle, the killing intent skill had advanced to a whole new killing intent deterrence. This skill delighted him. It was a talent that attacked the spirit. He realized he should also consider how to enhance his spiritual power. If he used this talent in battle, even a momentary stun of 0.1 seconds would be enough for him to turn but its range was rather small, only a few dozen meters. He wondered what improvements would come after upgrading it. Next was the chest. He hadn't checked last night. It had a copper lock. By the time he returned, it was already very. Moreover, since some warriors had been attracted to the area, he was worried that breaking the lock might make a noise and attract attention. So he hadn't examined it. Now he could finally see what Huang Haixing and his group had packed when they tried to flee. As for the copper lock on the box, I hesitated to touch it last night for fear of making any noise. Now, of course, there is no longer any concern. Grabbing the nearby hatchet, I struck down directly, splitting the box open. The first wooden chest revealed a pile of silver. It was about 700 or 800 taels. In addition, there were several dozen silver notes, with the smallest denomination being 50 taels, adding up to over 1,000 taels of silver. Seeing this, Chen Feng was also somewhat amazed. This Huang Laosi really has money. Lin Shui beside him was also filled with shock. My husband, did you bring this back from the Huang family? Yes, Chen Feng smiled. Once we finish a few more matters, we'll head to the county town. After last night's events, he had already entertained thoughts of moving. Now seeing these items, he felt even more delighted. With this silver, we won't have too many problems, even if we enter the county town. Lin Shui was also astonished. It could be said that after so many years, she was seeing so much money for the first time. Lin Shui exclaimed, my husband, you are truly amazing. What is this? I will ensure you have a better life in the future, Chen Feng replied with a smile, though a trace of worry lingered in his heart. From Huang Laosis' words last night, he initially thought the other party was concerned about the hunting license, but did not expect it was related to Lin Shui, and he was uncertain what Yin Xingzi meant. However, since Huang Laosi was a member of the demon cult, it was clear that mentioning these things would not bode well. He could only wait to investigate this matter further. Then came the second chest. Chen Feng felt a sense of anticipation. Upon seeing this second chest, he was slightly surprised. This chest was evidently more exquisite than the first. However, it only had a single latch and no bronze. It gave Chen Feng a feeling of both value and ease of management. He thought to himself, it seems likely that Huang Laosi believed these items wouldn't be lost, which is why it wasn't locked. Pondering these thoughts, he opened this chest as well. As he awaited to see what was inside, a glimmer of surprise flashed in his eyes. Could it be this? Inside the chest, layers of soft satin tightly protected a small white porcelain vial in the center. Within the vial was bright red blood. Blood of the evil god. Chen Feng's eyes sparkled with delight as he looked at this item. Previously, he had inadvertently refined a trace of evil god blood. This had greatly advanced his nutrient absorption skill. Last night, Huang Haixing escaped with the evil god blood, leaving him slightly regretful. He did not expect to see new evil god blood today. A good item. He felt the fluctuation of qi and blood within his body. This vial of evil god blood was filled to the brim and far exceeded the trace he had refined previously. I wonder if I can refine this vial of evil god blood, and whether my nutrient absorption skill can be elevated to a higher level. Chen Feng pondered these thoughts. He quickly stored the vial of evil god blood safely. Then he turned to Lin Shui, speaking solemnly. Swear these things must not be revealed to anyone else. Lin Shui looked a bit confused, but nodded seriously. I understand, husband. These items are very precious. I definitely won't tell anyone else. Chen Feng nodded good. Then he planned to check the situation outside. As long as there was no urgent matter, he would refine this vial of evil god blood. Even though he was still inside the room, he could hear some chaotic sounds from outside. It seemed many people were probing if he stayed shut in for too long, without checking it would seem too deliberate. Just as he stepped out of the house, a voice of relief rang out nearby. Chen Feng, you really are all right. I was just wondering whether to go see what situation you all are in now. Last night we heard some sounds of battle in the village, one of which seemed quite close to us. Are you all right? It was Lu Yuan beside him, his eyes showing some worry. In Lu Yuan's eyes there was also a hint of fear as he continued, moreover, I've heard that several corpses have already been discovered in our village. Those warriors are truly terrifying. Chen Feng responded, yes, we heard it too. Some residual waves even reached our house. Those warriors are indeed ruthless. Fortunately, after he returned yesterday, he had dragged the corpses from his field further away. Otherwise, this morning the ground would have likely been soaked in blood. Lu Yuan nodded. That is indeed quite fortunate. Luckily, the Deqian Empire has laws no warrior may massacre civilians. Otherwise, they would definitely end up on the wanted list of the Demon Patrol Division, and that would be disastrous. The wanted list? Chen Feng asked, somewhat surprised. Lu Yuan explained. Yes, it's a list published by the Deqian Demon Patrol Division for some extremely vicious criminals sought by the Patrol Division and the government. Each of those listed has a bounty of at least 1,000 taels. Upon hearing this, Chen Feng's eyes lit up. Is there such a thing? Then I wonder what kind of strength is required to take such a black market bounty. Lu Yuan shook his head. There are no specific requirements. As long as you can take the head of the wanted person, you can generally receive the reward. Chen Feng thought thoughtfully. I see. He felt somewhat enlightened. Although the current Deqian Empire had many crises, it still maintained a semblance of peace on the surface. He continued to listen to the clamor in the village. Various discussions also reached his ears. It's too tragic. Have you heard? That Huang Yuanwei's family was said to have been completely slaughtered. What? Really? Did those criminals last night come for the Huang family? No, I heard Huang Yuanwei was a follower of the demon cult and was killed by a demon patrol envoy. Huang Yuanwei was actually a follower of the demon cult. Huang Laogo is finally dead. Truly, heaven has eyes. Various discussions flowed. Especially when it came to mentioning Huang Yuanwei, many people showed shock and horror in their eyes. A man who had lived in this village for decades was actually a follower of the demon cult. Initially, some people were skeptical. However, when someone saw that among the Huang family's guards some had undergone mutations manifesting parts of demonic features, it directly caused many villagers of Heishan village to feel fear and shock. The anger of those who had been oppressed by Huang Yuanwei finally had a chance to explode. After all, for so many years some people in Heishan village had often gone missing. In the past, villagers had no idea. Now, however, they directly thought it must be related to the Huang family. Many angry families even directly stormed into Huang Yuanwei's home to vent their anger on the corpses lying on the ground. Chen Feng and Lu Yuan chatted a while longer, gleaning some information. Lu Yuan invited Chen Feng to inspect the residence of Squire Huang. After a brief deliberation, Chen Feng chose to accompany Lu Yuan to observe the condition of Huang Lao's courtyard. Having been in slumber the previous night, Chen Feng had felt nothing at the time. Now in the early morning light, when he beheld the scene of Huang Lao's domain, his heart stirred with emotion. He saw a multitude of corpses, all lying shattered upon the ground. Upon these cadavers were some broken arrows. Fortunately, they were ordinary arrows, leaving no distinctive mark. Huang Lao's courtyard had been drenched in crimson blood. Upon the earth, the scarlet fluid had congealed into countless web-like bloodstains. It was utterly terrifying. aside from the occasional martial artist who came to survey the scene and then switch. At first the villagers remained restrained. But once someone took the lead, a great throng of villagers surged forward to loot the Huang estate. That tyrant Huang Laosi is finally dead. Oh, we can sleep soundly now. Indeed, he once stole my silver. All this is mine now. Truly we must thank the Lord who destroyed this Huang manor. If Huang Laosi had lived on, our lives would have been yes, if we knew who it was, I would willingly erect a monument for him. All sorts of murmurs filled the air. Chen Feng stood at the edge of the scene, observing the commotion. His heart was complicated. Having already obtained the most valuable items, he had little interest in the rest. With a sigh, he prepared to leave the place. Just then, fresh information abruptly refreshed upon his panel, causing him to halt in his tracks. Gazing at the newly refreshed information on the panel, his eyes were filled with astonishment. What? How is this possible? You have received genuine gratitude from others. You have awakened a new skill, faith power. Chen Feng's eyes were wide with shock. Faith power? What is this? Can a new skill really be awakened like this? Skill faith power entry progress 1. When you receive sincere gratitude, admiration, or similar emotions from anyone, you can condense them into faith power, which can be used to enhance mental strength and awaken soul-related talents. Reading this information, a gleam of light flickered in Chen Feng's eyes. He had not expected such a harvest this time. Indeed, as faith power coalesced when he looked again, he noticed that above the heads of these people faint white threads seemed to appear. The other ends of these threads were evidently embedded into his mind. Vaguely, Chen Feng even seemed to perceive a blurry white illusory figure. Is this my soul? A trace of excitement flickered in Chen Feng's eyes as he murmured inwardly. Mental strength is indeed related to the soul. He had never imagined that this time he would awaken such a skill. Moreover, the proficiency of this skill was rapidly increasing. You have obtained gratitude from others. Your faith power proficiency 1. Similar messages kept refreshing. Faith power entry progress 31. But that was all for now. Only a few hundred people had come here, and clearly not everyone felt gratitude for the downfall of Huang Lao's household. Chen Feng paid it little heed. Now that he knew how to improve this skill, and might even acquire new soul skills, his heart was filled with it. Let me return first and refine that bottle of evil god blood. No matter how things develop, improving myself is always the right path, Chen Feng thought. Thus he did not linger there. He went straight home, closed the door, and began a new round of seclusion. The windows and bedroom door were shut tight. He asked Lin Shui to provide some cover for him outside. It should be fine, Chen Feng mused. Then he took out the bottle of evil god blood. He dared not gamble that the woman in red might have some way to sense the evil god blood. Since she would return anyway, he would refine it first. Without hesitation, Chen Feng uncorked the porcelain bottle and poured the evil god blood into his mouth in one gulp. In the next instant, Chen Feng felt a torrent of surging energy flood into his body. Moreover, dimly, a terrifying roar seemed to charge toward his mind. The newly awakened faith power skill from earlier today, which had brought mental enhancement, helped him withstand this onslaught. A sharp pain shot through him. Chen Feng was startled. What's happening? Just as worry crept into his heart, the panel began to refresh with rapid streams of information. While refining evil god blood, your nutrient absorption skill proficiency is continuously increasing. Your nutrient absorption skill proficiency 555. As Chen Feng was refining the evil god blood, on the other side within the Black Mountain, Yun, she clad in red, was swiftly weaving through the forest. In her hand, a jade tablet flickered with a red light. She was tracking the fleeing Huang Laosi. However, the red light on the jade disc flickered, now brightening, as if it might vanish at any moment. Yun's face turned icy cold. She murmured, a formation, only a higher level formation could conceal my demon hunting disc. A bright light gleamed in her eyes. Within this Black Mountain there really is a gathering point of the demon sect. Could it be related to the demon blade secret realm that appeared in the Black Mountain? Yun's eyes were thoughtful. She had originally intended to shadow Huang Laosi to investigate the situation within the Black Mountain, but unexpectedly, she lost his trail. Now the red light on the disc kept jumping, making it impossible to pinpoint the location. Yun, she smirked coldly. No matter what, it must be in this general direction. Let this lady see how long you can hide. Boom. With a cold snort, Yun, she waved her hand, and several sword strikes fell. Several trees ahead collapsed and burned directly. This scene made the martial artists following and observing even more awestruck. At that very moment, when Chen Feng in Black Mountain Village took out the evil god blood, Yun's expression changed slightly. For on the demon-hunting jade disc in her hand, a red light suddenly flashed, and then enveloped the entire disc. Demon god's blood. Yun's expression shifted slightly at the change on the demon tracking plate. Moreover, at this very moment, the direction indicated by the plate pointed beyond the Black Mountain. She needed only a brief glance to know it was toward Heishan Village. Her countenance darkened as she cast a look ahead at the forested slopes. The figure of Huang Haixing, whom she had been following, had vanished. To elude her pursuit, he must have used a concealing formation or some other hidden realm. Thus, she confirmed that within the Black Mountain lay a gathering place for the demon sect. Perhaps even the legendary Demon Blade secret realm was under their control. I must go back and investigate first. I cannot ignore any demon sect disciple who can wield the demon god's blood, lest they break into human cities and bring great calamity. Having made her decision, Yunshi abandoned the chase. With a flicker of her form, she headed toward Heishan, but shortly after she left the Black Mountain, the fluctuations on the demon tracking plate gradually faded. Seeing this, Yunzai's expression turned to surprise. Gone. Thoughtfully she mused. Was that demon sect disciple merely passing through? Or has he already caused? Thinking of Heishan village, a solemn look clouded Yunzai's face. She quickened her pace. Fortunately, upon reaching the outskirts of the village, she saw curling wisps of cooking smoke and figures moving about. A sigh of relief escaped her. It seemed the demon sect sent someone to check the situation after learning of the Huang family's destruction. She pondered, then decided not to rush back into the Black Mountain. Since she had confirmed something lurked within, there was no immediate urgency. Moreover, the memory of Chun Feng's nimble movements from the previous night stirred lingering curiosity in her mind. She might as well take this time to better understand that person. Chun Feng, of course, knew nothing of Yunzai's thoughts. He had already downed an entire bottle of demon god's blood. As the panel refreshed, you have digested a bottle of demon god's blood. Your nutrient absorption proficiency continues to increase. Your nutrient absorption skill has reached the proficient level. Your primary talent, innate divine strength, has evolved into the intermediate talent, bronze skin and iron bones. Your strength 5, your defense 5. As each notification flashed, Chun Feng felt a surge of energy pouring into his body, flowing through his limbs and bones. His flesh and sinews grew denser, and his entire form underwent a transformation. This transformation far exceeded previous ones. More importantly, he sensed changes beginning on his skin. He looked down at his exposed arm. It seemed coated with a faint thin film. Perceiving this, Chun Feng's eyes gleamed with wonder. Is this the newly awakened defense attribute? He opened the panel. Name Chun Feng. Strength 21. Speed 9. Gazing at the refreshed data, delight sparkled in his eyes. Beyond the boost to his strength, the daily increase in power had risen from 1 point to 2. This allowed him to grow stronger faster each day. Moreover, the newly awakened defense attribute intrigued him. With a thought, he picked up a rusty cleaver and slashed at his own arm. Normally, it would have left a bleeding gash, but now the blade slid across as if over tough leather. The blade passed through. His skin only bore a faint white line. Chun Feng drew in a sharp breath. This defense is formidable. Though his defense attribute had just increased, he felt it could already withstand ordinary attacks. That alone was a significant gain, and it would only continue to improve. Having tidied up, Chun Feng didn't linger in his room. He went to the courtyard to resume practicing archery. Throughout Heishan village, the villagers were abuzz with conversation. If he stayed cooped up, his mind would wander to unnecessary thoughts. Besides, the red-clad immortal might appear at any moment. He might as well keep practicing his archery. You have hit the bullseye with precision. Your archery proficiency 1. Regrettably, shooting at static targets now yielded far too little proficiency. Still, it was better than nothing. As Chun Feng focused on his bow, a voice from beside him exclaimed in surprise, "Is this how you usually practice archery? And you achieve results like this?" The voice startled Chun Feng. Someone had approached without his notice. He turned and saw the red-clad woman from yesterday. Chun Feng sheathed his bow and greeted her with a clasped hand. "Greetings, Demon Patrol Envoy. This is the archery method my father taught me." He felt a twinge of apprehension. After all, he had just consumed the demon god's blood not long ago. He wondered if the red-clad envoy would sense the anomaly in his chi and blood. Fortunately, when he saw that the envoy was merely staring at him with a complicated look, his heart eased. It seemed the panel's skill and talents were indeed superior. Meanwhile, Yunshi continued, "Did you awaken your martial talent when you saw a demon devour a human while hunting a week ago? Before that, you only practiced archery and your father died in a hunting accident a month ago." Chun Feng replied calmly and respectfully yes. He wasn't surprised that Yunshi had investigated his background. Yunshi herself was still stunned by the information. Hearing his words, her heart swirled with bewilderment and awe. To have only awakened recently and yet entered the martial path so quickly, and to have made such leaps in your archery, truly rare. But it's a pity you're a bit older. In recognition of your deeds last night, they'll give you 2 choices. Chun Feng asked with surprise, "What choices?" A hint of curiosity flickered in his eyes. Yunshi nodded. "As Demon Patrol envoys, we also have the duty to seek out martial talents across the land for the Demon Patrol Bureau. Though you've awakened your talent, you've passed the optimal age for martial training. Pursuing the martial path further, even becoming an envoy, might prove difficult at this stage. I have a friend in Blackstone City. I can arrange for you to join the patrol department, ensuring a worry-free life. Alternatively, the Demon Patrol Bureau runs preparatory academies across the regions, I can secure you a place at Blackstone Academy. As for the final outcome, I cannot guarantee it. Having spoken Yun, she turned her gaze toward Chen Feng, who had fallen into deep contemplation. Countless thoughts flickered through his mind. With her discerning eye, she easily assessed that Chen Feng's cultivation level stood at the first-rank martial art. For one so young, that was somewhat underwhelming. Yet he was a martial cultivator awakened in a remote mountain village, so she held no excessive expectations. What mattered most was his extraordinary archery skill, a mastery so refined that even within elite academies it would stand out as formidable, hinting at immense latent potential. She was reluctant to dismiss him lightly. Hearing the two options, Chen Feng did not hesitate for an instant. Immortal maiden, he declared, I wish to enter Haishi Academy. Are you certain you won't regret it? Yunshi asked. Should you fail to graduate, your prospects may be inferior even to those entering the patrol bureau. After all, scholarship thrives in poverty, but martial cultivation demands wealth. If you fall behind in the academy, resources will dwindle, perhaps leaving you no choice but to become a wandering martial cultivator unable to sustain your path. Yunshi furrowed her brow as she spoke, her eyes thoughtful. Earlier that day, she had investigated Chen Feng thoroughly, and learning he was a native of this very village had stirred genuine surprise within her. Her astonishment deepened upon observing his unique archery training method. After brief reflection, she resolved to let him choose for himself. The realm today teetered on instability. A position in the patrol bureau could entice countless aspirants. Haishi Academy, though promising greater prospects, carried uncertainty. She had not anticipated Chen Feng would decide with such unwavering resolve. He smiled faintly. Since childhood, I have long admired the demon-subduing patrol. Now that opportunity knocks, why not seize it? In truth, he harbored quiet conviction. With his overexertion cultivation interface at his disposal, his future knew no bounds, and thus he naturally chose the broader path of cultivation. Yunshi nodded slightly. Very well, so be it. Every demon-subduing marshal bears the enduring duty of recruiting talent for the patrol. This is my letter of recommendation. Take it and proceed directly to Heishan City's Central Haishi Academy. Go straight to the registration office. You shall be enrolled as a disciple, but beyond that your cultivation rests solely in your own hands. As she spoke, she gestured lightly, and a palm-sized jet-black token descended into Chen Feng's waiting hand, its surface etched with crimson glyphs. Upon its face glowed a deep crimson character Chun. On its reverse, a phoenix-like motif spread its wings in elegant crimson relief. One glance alone sent a tremor through his heart. Watching him secure the token Yun, she smiled gently. May our paths cross again. I will strive without fail, Chen Feng replied, bowing his head. Yun, she nodded once more, then without further word turned and departed. Each step carried her dozens of meters forward. Within moments, she vanished from his sight, leaving only Chen Feng standing still, gazing after her retreating figure, his eyes clouded with complex emotion. The letter of recommendation rested warm in his palm. Just imagining what it represented, an entry into a demon-subduing patrol cultivation academy, was enough to reveal its incalculable worth. He had never expected such a high-ranking demon-subduing marshal to bestow it upon him so freely. As for her name, Yunshi had offered none, nor had he dared inquire. Most likely in her eyes, he was merely an insignificant speck. Chen Feng's expression remained calm, untroubled. He bore the overexertion cultivation interface, and so long as he cultivated relentlessly, he believed with absolute certainty that his future would claim its own sovereign sky. To the county seat, to seek knowledge. A firm resolution settled in his heart. Everything that had unfolded in Heishan village lay far beyond his prior expectations. His gaze hardened with resolve. He needed to reach a place where information flowed freely. Here in the Black Mountains, opportunities arose unseen. He did not even know their nature. With his current cultivation, he lacked even the qualification to approach them. I must cultivate swiftly, strengthen both my power and my foundation. Once his strength matured, he would return to the Black Mountains, to explore Qinglang Valley and the depths beyond, uncovering whatever secrets they concealed. As for Qinglang Valley's existence, he had considered informing the crimson-robed woman. In his estimation, it might well harbor a gathering of demonic cultists. Yet watching her fading silhouette, he sighed inwardly, and said nothing. His suspicion, after all, was likely, unless she herself inquired, or unless some unforeseen change occurred. Only after Yunshi departed did Chen Feng notice his neighbors watching him, eyes filled with confusion, yet edged with nascent reverence. Is that the one who wiped out the Huang family yesterday? Why would she seek out Chen Feng? Indeed, it said she's a demon-subduing marshal. What has Chen Feng done to draw her attention? No idea, but Chen Feng does seem different lately. His archery skill is truly remarkable. Whispers rippled softly through the crowd. Nearby, Lu Yuan watched with envious admiration. Brother Chen, you've quietly befriended someone of... Chen Feng smiled. I merely rendered a small favor once. Lu Yuan sighed wistfully. Brother Chen, I always knew you'd rise. When you do, don't forget to lift me up too. Chen Feng chuckled. If the chance arises, I certainly will. By the way, when did you say you'd be heading to the camp? He asked directly. Lu Yuan replied, this afternoon. I'm returning then. I only took 2 days leave from my master. Tomorrow, I resume forging. Chen Feng nodded. Ah, I see. We're preparing to go there ourselves. Lu Yuan tilted his head curious. Brother Chen, what brings you to the county seat? Chen Feng affirmed, to explore better prospects. Relying solely on hunting grows increasingly. Lu Yuan nearly countered that life in the county seat was no easier. Yet recalling the recent chaos in Heishan City and last night's massacre of the Huang family, he swallowed his words and simply nodded. True. Under present circumstances, the county seat is indeed. After all, martial cultivators ranked 5th rank and above are permanently stationed there. Chun Feng's heart stirred with quiet complexity. He could not foresee whether his journey to the county seat would unfold smoothly. Chen Feng nodded, saying, indeed. I hope for a favorable outcome. A hint of concern flickered in his eyes. Though Yunshi had given him a recommendation token this time, he remained uncertain whether any unforeseen circumstances might arise. Before it was accomplished, he was unwilling to inform others. These thoughts occupied his mind. Afterward, Chen Feng chatted a bit more with Lu Yuan. Next, he found Uncle Lu and repaid the silver that Lin Shui had previously borrowed, adding an extra half-tael. Uncle Lu looked at the silver and said hastily, Chen Feng, you are heading to the county seat. This is precisely when you need money. Lu Yuan also chimed in with persuasion. Chen Feng smiled and said, it's fine, Uncle Lu. I've recently earned some income from hunting in the mountains, so I can spare this silver. With over 1,000 taels of silver on his person, he naturally had confidence. Uncle Lu, a honest farmer, hearing Chen Feng's words, no longer declined, and said, all right then, he'll accept it for now. Lu Yuan, standing by, was somewhat surprised. Only then did he begin to observe Chen Feng more closely, and soon a trace of shock arose in his heart. Chen Feng's strength seemed by no means weak. This filled him with admiration. As for traveling to the county seat, there was little to pack. Apart from bringing his bow and arrows, Chen Feng chose to leave everything else behind. He planned to return when he had secured a foothold in the county seat. Had it been only Chen Feng and Lu Yuan, they would have opted to walk to the county seat. After all, it was merely a journey of a few dozen li. But with Lin Shui joining them, they instead hitched a ride on a cargo ox cart, a flatbed cart laden with goods. This was a joint venture among several nearby villages when heading to the city. After paying 100 when Lin Shui sat atop the cart, Chen Feng followed behind the cart. Along the way, as he traveled, his proficiency in mountain running gradually increased. 2 hours later, his skill in mountain running had improved significantly. The proficiency of this skill increased by a large margin. This made Chen Feng's pace steadier and faster. Lu Yuan naturally noticed this along the way, and admiration stirred within him. This Chen Feng is truly remarkable. His endurance even surpasses mine. During the journey, Chen Feng also chatted with others, many of whom had traveled to the city before allowing him to learn much about Heishan City. They traveled all the way along the main road. Chen Feng had initially worried about encountering bandits or the like, but the journey passed without incident. At a mountain pass, the team leader paid a small protection fee, and the rest of the trip went smoothly. Moreover, they gradually began to see other travelers. As the crowd grew larger, Chen Feng spotted the location of Heishan County City ahead. When he saw the city wall of Heishan County City towering several dozen meters high, astonishment filled his heart. Is this a county seat? Chen Feng exclaimed in surprise. The pitch-black city wall, dozens of meters high, was completely black as ink, as if forged and cast from black iron, gleaming with a cold metallic light. From afar, it resembled a black, ferocious beast crouching on the ground. Their destination was the east gate of Heishan City, where beneath the towering gate a long queue of people entering the city stretched out. These humans before the city moved like ants, slowly advancing. Even Chen Feng, who had seen great cities, felt a tremor in his heart at the sight of this one. He never imagined that such a colossal city could be built within an ancient dynasty like this. Lu Yuan, noticing Chen Feng's expression, chuckled lightly. Mind-blowing, isn't it? I felt the same when I first came here. The area enclosed by Heishan City's walls alone spans hundreds of square kilometers, housing over 1 million people. And beyond the walls, a vast population dwells. If all are counted, Heishan City's population alone reaches 3 million. This is the second largest city in Nanshan Prefecture, a testament to its splendor. Chen Feng sighed in amazement. Is it truly that formidable? This was somewhat beyond his expectations. Sure enough, as the group approached the county seat, many low, humble houses could be seen outside the walls. At the city gate, a large crowd of commoners and people waiting to enter formed a long line. On both sides of the gate stood soldiers clad in black armor. Even just standing there, an aura of bloodlust emanated from them. Seeing this, Chen Feng felt a flicker of confusion. Lu Yuan said, there's a fee to enter the city, 100 when each time. Unless you are a local resident or have an official occupation within the city with your faction paying taxes to Heishan City, you won't survive inside. Overnight stays on the streets are forbidden. Patrols sweep every night. To have a place to rest besides inns, you must seek the protection of major powers. Without a dwelling or a residence permit, you'll be expelled. Re-entering costs another 101, effectively a daily lodging fee of 101. Those living outside the city are those who cannot afford the daily entry fee. A hint of surprise flashed in Chen Feng's eyes. So that's how it works. Lu Yuan said, yes, but still it's safer than some remote places. If you have no other options, why not check out the blacksmith shop, where I work? I can speak to my master. You could start as an apprentice and at least make a living. Chen Feng replied, I plan to look around and understand first. Lu Yuan said, all right. Then the team leader, a plump, wealthy-looking man in his 50s, cupped his hands and said with a smile, everyone, we've arrived. Let's go our separate ways. Chen Feng, Lin Shui, and Lu Yuan formed a group of 3. Chen Feng paid the 200 yuan entry fee. As he entered the city, he subtly used his killing intent to sense the guards on both sides. Each of them seemed to exude a murderous aura. It was the presence of someone who had killed. This filled Chen Feng with awe. Being a first-rank martial artist could make one dominant in Heishan village. Yet here in the county seat, they were only gatekeepers. After paying the fee and entering the city, a clamor immediately washed over him. Gazing at the scene before him, Chen Feng's eyes grew dazed. Before his eyes stretched several cobblestone avenues branching in all directions, broad enough for 4 carriages to pass side by side. Along both sides of the roads stood various shops, many crowned with 2- or 3-story buildings. Goods ranged from food and pills to talismans, all openly displayed and for sale. Street vendors called out to passers-by, their stalls brimming with wares. Chen Feng's gaze lingered awash with quiet wonder, as if stepping back into the vibrant bustle of a long-remembered marketplace. Lu Yuan glanced around, then smiled at Chen Feng. Chen Feng, I must return now. You may wander the county town a while. Familiarize yourself with the surroundings. Since it's your first time here, I recommend staying at an inn tonight. Though lodging outside the city is cheaper, safety there is comparatively lower. Chen Feng nodded. Understood. If I wish to grasp the town's fundamentals as swiftly as possible, where should I begin? Lu Yuan replied, visit Wanxiang Tower. Purchase their illustrated guide to the town's foundational powers and affiliations. It will clarify much. Wanxiang Tower is a preeminent mercantile force spanning multiple provinces of the Great Qian Empire. Its wares cost slightly more than those sold elsewhere, but every item is genuine, reputable, and widely acclaimed. In contrast, street peddlers may offer similar guides at lower prices, but these are often pirated editions liable to mislead you about the true nature of this county. As for Wanxiang Tower itself, simply follow this main avenue forward until you see its gilded rooftop. That is where it stands. A towering 7-story edifice. Chen Feng nodded. Understood. Lu Yuan, merely an apprentice, hurried off to report for duty. After parting ways with Lu Yuan, Chen Feng set off toward Wanxiang Tower, with Lin Shui walking close. Her eyes shimmered with awe as she took in the scene. Clasping Chen Feng's hand, she whispered, husband, this county town is truly magnificent. Shall we live here henceforth? Chen Feng replied, yes. Have no concern. With over 1,000 taels of silver in his possession, he felt no anxiety. Only the question of whether to rent or purchase a residence. Let us go to Wanxiang Tower, Chen Feng said with a gentle smile. And together they strolled along the avenue, pausing occasionally to admire roadside stalls en route. Yet even on this short walk, Chen Feng felt profoundly stirred, especially upon spotting small apothecary shops selling cultivation pills. Though his knowledge remained limited, he knew such pills could dramatically accelerate martial cultivation, if only one possessed them. He noted that even the lowest grade qi blood pills cost several taels per pill, an astonishing sum. So costly, he mused, no wonder alchemists are among the wealthiest artisans. No wonder this craft is hailed as one of the most lucrative professions. Beside him, Lin Shui's eyes sparkled with quiet fascination. He also saw martial manuals openly sold in storefronts. Texts strictly forbidden in rural villages, now freely available throughout the county town. Most were labeled only as low-tier or mid-tier techniques. Even the iron fist art he had previously encountered appeared among them. Yet the cheapest edition demanded 50 taels, a price that gave him pause. Not because he lacked the funds, but because he still knew too little of Blackstone City's realities. Better, he decided, to gather intelligence first, then purchase wisely. He thus bypassed other shops entirely and proceeded directly to Wanxiang Tower. Upon arrival, he understood why Lu Yuan had praised Wanxiang Tower as the most reputable establishment in Blackstone City. It was without question the most opulent commercial complex he had yet seen in the entire county. 7 stories tall, each level gleamed with golden brilliance. At the entrance stood 2 attendants clad in robes of gold and silver. Scarcely had he approached the threshold when a young woman stepped forward with a graceful bow. Young master, I am Xiao Lu, the attendant assigned to you. How may I assist you today? Chen Feng replied, I seek authoritative texts offering concise, yet comprehensive insights into Blackstone City's current state. and the broader cultivation world. Where might I find them? As he spoke, his gaze swept the floor, and he found himself quietly astonished. The entire level consisted of elegant glass display cases, each meticulously arranged. Within each case rested Wanxiang Tower's wares, pills, weapons, spirit herbs, each accompanied by clearly marked prices. A single glance revealed goods far superior in quality and refinement to anything hawked by street vendors. Indeed, the craftsmanship and authenticity of these items surpassed those outside by a wide margin, evoking yet another ripple of quiet awe in Chen Feng's eyes. Even so, base prices began at several taels of silver, merely on this ground floor. What then would treasures on higher floors command? Most patrons on this level wore simple martial attire, while those adorned in finer garments were discreetly escorted upward to exclusive upper floors. Soon, guided by the attendant Chen Feng, selected 2 volumes, 20 Years of Blackstone City, a historical overview and foundational treatise on martial Tao. The moment he held them, excitement stirred within him. They were precisely what he sought, authentic, authoritative. Noticing his eagerness, the attendant smiled. Young master, our 3rd floor houses private reading chambers, ideal for focused study. Would you care to reserve one? Chen Feng asked how much. She replied 300 won per hour for the standard chamber. He raised an eyebrow. Steep indeed. Then he declared, very well. I require a quiet chamber for 2 hours. Her eyes lit with pleasant surprise. Thank you, young master. They ascended immediately to the 3rd floor, where individual sound-dampened chambers lined a corridor. Inside, one Chen Feng opened foundational treatise on martial Tao without delay. Even with the crimson-robed woman's recommendation, he intended first to deepen his understanding of the present landscape before committing to any path. His reading began with the city's major powers. As he turned page after page, contemplation deepened in his gaze. So this is how things stand. Foremost among Blackstone City's forces stood the magistrate's mansion. Next came several prominent clans, each commanding vast swaths of commerce and influence across the city. Beyond them flourished numerous martial brotherhoods, each holding sway over distinct districts. Survival within the city, it seemed, inevitably entailed navigating or aligning with these powers. Even street vendors required affiliation with a brotherhood, otherwise their stalls risked being smashed before sunrise. Among these powers, Blackstone Academy ranked among the most formidable, for the academy operated under the direct auspices of the Demon Hunting Bureau. Enrollment alone conferred legitimacy and ensured safe passage through the city's intricate social fabric. Even seasoned brotherhoods exercised restraint, rarely provoking students of the academy outright. Every spring and autumn, the Blackstone Academy conducts a major enrollment examination in addition to recommendations from some Demon Patrol envoys. Of course, candidates must also undergo some tests. As for those with talent, Chen Feng has seen information about them in the materials he purchased. In the Great Qian world, martial artists are revered. Most martial artists are ordinary people who may spend their entire lives without being able to enter the path. Among those who can successfully sense their blood and qi and enter cultivation, there is a 1 in 10,000 chance that they may awaken some degree of talent. Some possess abundant blood and qi, while others have innate strong bones, making their martial training progress rapidly. These individuals are referred to as talented individuals, usually capable of breaking through to at least the intermediate 3rd grade. They may even have the opportunity to become martial arts masters, making them the preferred candidates for recruitment by the Demon Patrol. In martial arts, the 9 grades are classified as follows. The 1st to 3rd grades are known as the lower grades, focusing primarily on body refinement, which includes skin refinement, bone forging, and organ refinement. The 4th to 6th grades focus on qi cultivation and are referred to as the intermediate grades, which include true qi, divine armor, and true intent. The upper grades are not described in much detail. However, once one reaches the 7th grade, they are already considered masters in the Great Qian. The Great Qian dynasty comprises 9 provinces and 36 prefectures. Any master within a province is regarded as a top-tier expert. The 8th grade Grandmaster and the 9th grade Martial Saint are both considered national-level powerhouses. Each Martial Saint belongs to the greatest forces against demons. In the 9th grade, each level is further divided into 4 stages: early, mid, late, and perfection, which are related to the cultivation of martial arts. Currently, Chen Feng is practicing the Iron Fist technique, having reached a proficient level equivalent to a mid-level 1st grade martial artist. Different martial arts also have various ranks. What he previously saw, the breaking limit, signifies a rank enhancement. That is also correct. However, martial arts like the Iron Fist technique, which can only break the limit once, are generally considered to be of the lowest rank. According to the recorded foundational information of martial arts, it simply states that the higher the rank of the cultivation method, the better. As for the reason behind this, Chen Feng did not obtain specific information. This led Chen Feng to make a decision in his heart. It seems that if I want better development, going to the Black Mountain Academy is the best choice. Otherwise, obtaining high-ranking cultivation methods and resources would be quite challenging. He continued to browse more information. After having lunch during the break and learning more about the basic situation of Blackstone County, Chen Feng then took Lin Shui directly towards the direction of Blackstone Academy. The Blackstone Academy is considered the highest level institution in the entire Blackstone city. It also has affiliated junior academies that nurture martial artists from a young age, as well as intermediate academies. In Chen Feng's understanding, Blackstone Academy is equivalent to a high school. It holds a very high status within Blackstone City and is located in a core area. Initially, Chen Feng was concerned about potential troubles, but upon arriving at Blackstone Academy, he discovered that many parents often brought their children here as if to check in. The coppered gate was closed, and only a small door on the side sometimes had young students entering and exiting. I wonder how this recommendation token should be used. Chen Feng was somewhat puzzled. The red-clad fairy had only given him a recommendation token, but did not tell him how. At the entrance of Blackstone Academy, there was a small guard station with 2 guards stationed there radiating a certain. Although not very strong, they were sufficient to block ordinary martial artists. While Chen Feng was still pondering this, suddenly a laugh sounded beside him. "Do you want to go in, classmate?" "Who?" Chen Feng was startled. Looking over, he was surprised to see a young man in white clothing standing beside him, slightly plump with a round face full of smiles. "Who are you?" Chen Feng asked with some confusion. From the plump man's attire, it was evident that he was a student of Blackstone Academy. "No need to worry," the plump man chuckled. "My name is Wan Baoyang. I enjoy doing small businesses. If you want to go in and experience the atmosphere of the Martial Arts Academy, you can give me a few silver coins, and I can take you for a tour," Wan Baoyang said with a smile. Chen Feng was somewhat surprised and asked, "You can take outsiders in?" "Yes, as a student of Blackstone Academy, I naturally have the right to bring classmates in. After all, it's just a tour, there's no loss. It also allows us students to earn a bit of extra money. What's wrong with that?" Chen Feng was surprised and asked, "Aren't you here to practice martial arts? Are you short on money?" Wan Baoyang glanced at Chen Feng and shook his head. "That's for sure. Poor in culture and rich in martial arts. If you have no money, how can you enjoy those top-notch resources as well as various weapons and elixirs? All of these require money. Especially as a student of Blackstone Academy, there are even more places to spend money on. All kinds of training grounds, heavenly materials, and earthly treasures require money. Without money, it's hard to move an inch," Wan Baoyang said with a sigh. Chen Feng was somewhat amazed. "I didn't expect it to be like this." "Then please take us in to take a look." Lin Shui, who had been following Chen Feng, also spoke up. Upon hearing this, Wan Baoyang's face instantly lit up with joy, saying, "Haha, good. I believe it will definitely be worth your money." He then led Chen Feng through the side gate into the academy. Chen Feng followed behind Wan Baoyang, observing how Wan Baoyang handed something to the guard, who then let them into Blackstone Academy without even looking at them. This made Chen Feng marvel at Wan Baoyang, truly adept at business. After entering the academy and passing through a screen, he could see some of the architectural scenes within Blackstone Academy. Upon entering the main gate, the first thing seen was a square covering over 10,000 square meters with a foundation laid with black bricks. Various training equipment was present in the square. There were bronze men, wooden stakes, and various apparatuses like rings, horizontal bars, and stone locks. Currently, there were dozens of students in white clothing training in the square. Most appeared to be around 17 or 18 years old, quietly training, each looking hurried, as if all their time was devoted to cultivation. Wan Baoyang smiled. "This is the training square of the academy. All the training equipment is free to use." Chen Feng was somewhat amazed, and he noticed a designated area for archery training in the square. There were stationary targets and even moving targets. These features brightened Chen Feng's eyes. Such a spacious area would be incredibly enjoyable for martial training. Wan Baoyang cheerfully added, "There are also indoor training areas over there. As long as you have money, you can even hire teachers for unknown martial arts lessons." "Really? Teachers also offer unknown instruction?" Chen Feng expressed surprise. Wan Baoyang replied, "Of course, teachers also need to practice martial arts. Naturally, resources are lacking. Over there is our classroom area as well as the library and enrollment office. However, you can only observe from a distance under the guidance of us students. You cannot approach. Otherwise, you might be mistaken for some sort of unlawful person and be directly captured by the academy's students." Chen Feng's eyes flickered with light. He nodded and said, "I understand." Then, as Wan Baoyang led him around the training ground and was about to take them out, Chen Feng asked with a smile, "Brother Wan, is there anyone else entering the academy now?" Wan Baoyang shook his head. "Basically no one. The autumn enrollment is over. For external enrollment, the requirements are very high. Unless there are some special channels, some students might come in. Otherwise, it's not easy. Judging by your age, you're about the same as us. You can participate in next year's autumn assessment. As long as you reach the required rank, who knows, you might have a chance if you try," Wan Baoyang said with a smile. In the academy, although some martial artists looked down on external cultivators, but there were also students like him who were willing to do business with external warriors. As long as these students showed interest in the academy, it meant more business opportunities, and he could gain more profit. Chen Feng listened to Wan Baoyang's words. Without further deliberation, he directly said, "Brother 1, I have a recommendation token from a demon patrol envoy. Could I still enter the academy?" He said calmly. The reason he hadn't sought someone out directly was fear of complications. But now that he had already entered the academy, during the casual tour, he had been observing the academy's environment and students. At a single glance, he could already see some students. There were even some middle-aged men with imposing auras, presumably teachers of the academy. He was no longer worried about the risk of the token being taken away if he produced it now. Wan Baoyang, whose expression had been calm, was still smiling and saying, "Entering the academy now might." But the next moment he reacted, looked at Chun Feng with astonishment, and said, "What did you say?" "A recommendation token. From a demon patrol envoy." He was truly shocked. Then he immediately turned to Chun Feng, studying his demeanor. A demon patrol envoy's recommendation token. He knew exactly what that meant. Chun Feng nodded. "Yes." Then he took out the token given to him by the woman in red. He placed it in his palm. Wan Baoyang's originally cheerful expression had already turned unsettled. The moment he saw the token, he reached out to examine it more closely. But Chun Feng merely turned his hand and put it away. Wan Baoyang's expression was complicated. "It's genuine," he said. "He'll take you to the admissions office, teacher." With a recommendation token from a demon patrol envoy, one can naturally enter a mid-level academy for training. Then he directly led Chun Feng and the other person toward the admissions office. The journey was only a few hundred meters. When they reached the outside of the admissions office, a burly man in black clothes with dark skin came toward them. Seeing Wan Baoyang leading Chun Feng and the man's face showed anger. "Wan Baoyang, what do you think you're doing? You dare bring outsiders into the core area of the academy. Do you want to be expelled?" The man's face was cold. Wan Baoyang glanced at him and sneered. "Lin Jin, are you trying to stop me from entering?" But now he was not in a hurry. A hint of mockery appeared on his face. For a long time in the academy, Lin Jin had been at odds with him. Now he dared to openly undermine him. Lin Jin glanced in Chun Feng's direction and sneered. "So what if I am? You dare bring an outsider, a country bumpkin, to the core admissions office? I think you've really forgotten the academy's disciplinary rules." Chun Feng watched the two exchange insults, understanding the situation. It seemed that even in such a martial artist academy there were all kinds of competitions. Wan Baoyang sneered and directly led Chun Feng into the admissions office. Lin Jin behind them, his face changed instantly. Coldly he said, "Damn it, he doesn't take me seriously at all. Wan Baoyang, I will definitely report your actions to the teacher." Several academy martial artists beside Lin Jin also sneered. Wan Baoyang has really gone mad. He usually brings outsiders in any way that's fine. But now he dares to bring them to the admissions office. Does he think his reputation can make the academy bend the rules to admit a lackey? Another mocked, "Senior brother, let's go watch. As long as we confirm that Wan Baoyang truly violated the academy rules, he might get pushed down the rankings on the next Feng Yun list update." "Yes. Let's enjoy the show." There were various sneers. When they looked at Wan Baoyang and Chun Feng, they especially noted the attire of Chun Feng and Lin Shui. Their eyes were full of mockery. Chun Feng's face turned cold. He first memorized the faces of Lin Jin and the others. In the admissions office, except for the busy enrollment season, usually only a few teachers handled office work here. When Wan Baoyang arrived, he rushed straight to one spot and said with a smile, "Teacher Qian, I've brought a new student. See if it's genuine." Wan Baoyang spoke. Behind the desk sat a middle-aged man in gray clothes with thinning hair, a balding pattern, who was reading a book. Hearing Wan Baoyang's words, Qian, looked up and snorted. "Wan Baoyang, this is not the plaza. How dare you bring someone here? Do you want to be punished?" Qian's tone was displeased. Lin Jin and the others waited behind, eager to see the drama with expressions full of anticipation. However, at that moment, Wan Baoyang quickly added, "No, Teacher Qian, this person has a recommendation token from a demon patrol envoy. Hurry and show it." Saying so, Wan Baoyang urged Chun Feng. Without any hesitation, Chun Feng produced the recommendation token. Qian, whose expression had been displeased, was startled the moment the token appeared. With a flicker of movement, he landed directly in front of Chun Feng. Then he grabbed the token from Chun Feng's hand. Next, a wisp of true qi from Qian's hand surged into the hum. Then a wave of energy burst from the red token, accompanied by a sharp chirp of a bird. From the token, a phantom of a vermilion phoenix shot straight into the sky. The moment he saw this, Qian's face was full of excitement. He exclaimed, "It's a demon patrol envoy's recommendation token. It's real. Those who joined our Blackstone Academy with a demon patrol envoy's recommendation token number fewer than 10 so far. This must be a genius." Qian, said, then looked directly at Chun Feng with surprise and anticipation. "What martial arts talent did you awaken?" As for Wan Baoyang, standing aside, when he saw the soaring phoenix phantom, a flicker of shock appeared in his eyes. He exclaimed, "Divine Phoenix, Sword Cultivator Yunxi. This is the recommendation token of Demon Patrol Envoy Yunxi." At this moment, the teacher Qian, holding the recommendation token, looked somewhat surprised. He then handed the token to Chun Feng and looking at him, expressed some curiosity, saying, "Is this recommendation token given to you by Yunshi?" Chen Feng pondered, realizing that Yunshi must be the name of that red-clad warrior. Moreover, judging by the appearance of those around him, it seemed that Yunshi held a remarkable status. Chen Feng nodded, and said, "Yes, I am a villager from Heishan village nearby. I assisted that red-clad fairy with some tasks, and she gave me this recommendation token to come to Heishi Academy." Although he did not understand the situation, it seemed that it was not a bad thing. Wan Baoyang beside him expressed some envy, saying, "To be connected with the sword cultivator, Yunshi, your luck is truly remarkable." Even Lin Jin, who had originally prepared to watch the joke from the back, looked surprised at this moment, and cast a doubtful glance at Chen Feng, feeling that these two seemed ordinary, yet had attracted the attention of the divine phoenix sword cultivator. Chen Feng was still puzzled, and asked, "Is this sword cultivator, Yunshi, very powerful?" He did not have much information about the great Qian martial arts world. Wan Baoyang smiled, and said, "Naturally, she is very powerful. You must know that in our great Qian Empire there are over 100 million people across the 36 provinces of the 9 regions. There are 3 rankings displayed to the world. The human ranking consists of the top 100 martial artists under 30 years old based on their martial prowess and talent. This divine phoenix sword cultivator Yunshi is among the top 10. Upon hearing this, Chen Feng's eyes showed a hint of shock. So that's how it is. A top talent ranked among the top 10 in the nation. Oh, no wonder she has attracted so much attention. Wan Baoyang continued, "Indeed, I heard that recently the divine phoenix sword cultivator Yunshi has appeared in Heishan. I didn't expect to meet someone who has interacted with her so soon. You truly have good fortune." Chen Feng nodded, saying, "Yes, it's all thanks to the opportunity given by Fairy Yunshi." He was also a bit astonished in his heart. He did not expect that the sword cultivator Yunshi had such a great reputation. He also wondered if she had managed to track down that Huang Laosi, and whether the secret realm in Heishan had been discovered. He could only wait until his cultivation was stronger, and he had more information before approaching these matters. Chen Feng was pondering these thoughts. Teacher Qian, who sighed, saying, "The recommendation token is indeed real. Since it was recommended by the sword cultivator Yunshi, you can certainly enroll. What is your name?" "Did the sword cultivator Yunshi confirm that you have awakened your martial talent?" Chen Feng nodded, and said, "Yes, my name is Chen Feng." Fairy Yunshi mentioned this. He did not deny it. Qian, who nodded, saying, "Good, then we will initially treat you as a first-class student. Our academy has a wind and cloud small ranking and a wind and cloud large ranking with assessments once a month, all of which come with rewards. You can obtain more resources based on your ranking in the wind and cloud rankings as you improve." Chen Feng did not yet fully understand what Teacher Qian who was saying. However, Wan Baoyang beside him looked somewhat surprised, and then nodded, saying, "Indeed, being able to obtain a recommendation token from Fairy Yunshi and receiving first-class student rewards is well-deserved." Qian, who nodded, saying yes. He then walked into the back of the admissions office, and after operating something unknown, took out a black token and a black storage bag, saying, "This is your token for Heishi Academy, and here is a storage bag. You can bind it for use by dropping your blood on it. This is the basic resource for each student. The storage bag contains a student manual. You should read it thoroughly. As for other information, since Wan Baoyang you are here, you can guide this student Chen Feng in understanding our school's rules and regulations. If there are any questions, you can explain them." Wan Baoyang smiled, and said, "All right, Teacher Chen, I will." With that, they did not linger, and Wan Baoyang led Chen Feng and Lin Shui away from the place. As they passed by Lin Jin, his expression was not very pleasant. Looking at Wan Baoyang, Lin Jin coldly snorted, saying, "I hope he really is a genius." Then he turned and left. Wan Baoyang chuckled, "Chen Feng, don't mind him. I didn't expect that someone I casually pulled in at the entrance would actually turn out to be a genius. Chen Feng, you can first look at the student manual, or if you need help with anything such as purchasing pills, weapons, or other secret manuals, feel free to come to me. I have quite a bit of experience in this area within the academy," Wan Baoyang said with a smile. Chen Feng nodded, saying, "All right, I will trouble you, Brother Wan." He could tell that Wan Baoyang seemed to have intentions of building a friendship. Naturally, he would not refuse proactively. After binding the storage bag with blood, he felt as if his spirit had connected with it. With a slight movement of his mind, he could see the contents of the bag, which appeared to be about 1 cubic meter in size, containing a set of student clothing. Besides a student manual, there was nothing else inside. Though he wanted to immediately check the student manual, noticing that the sky was already getting dark, Chen Feng said, "Brother Wan, we just arrived in Heishi City and currently have no place to settle down. If we want to rent a house or purchase one, do you have any good channels?" Chen Feng was still planning to settle down first before exploring the academy manual and gathering more information. Wan Baoyang smiled, saying, "That's a small matter. Our Heishi Academy has dedicated residential areas, which consist of courtyards mainly inhabited by the families of students. The rent is approximately 30 taels of silver per year. As for purchasing a courtyard, there are many small courtyards available not far from the southern part of the city, with prices starting at about 200 taels of silver. What are your thoughts?" Chen Feng replied, "Then let's first go see the academy's residential area." Wan Baoyang smiled, saying, "All right." This is also the choice of most students, as martial artist cultivation requires space, and only a private courtyard can meet our needs. After about 10 minutes in the eastern part of Haishi Academy, not far away there indeed, was a vast area of small courtyards. There were even guards stationed at the entrance. Wan Baoyang smiled, saying the academy's residential area has a considerable number of residents. Generally, people do not dare to cause trouble here. After Chen Feng followed the school staff around, he felt somewhat satisfied. These courtyards were mostly independent, each with its own small yard approximately several hundred square meters in size. The walls were built of bluestone bricks, and the houses had 3 large rooms, so even with dozens of people living there it did not feel cramped. Such conditions were far superior to what he had in Heishan village. Moreover, there was a distance of several dozen meters between each building and the surrounding courtyards. The privacy was also excellent. After looking around, Chen Feng chose courtyard number 788. After settling Chen Feng down, Wan Baoyang smiled and said, "Brother Chen, I am in courtyard number 082. You can check it out first and settle down. I will come to find you tomorrow. If you have any questions, feel free to ask." Chen Feng nodded, saying, "Thank you, Brother Wan. I will." He then left with Wan Baoyang. Chen Feng entered the room looking at the settled house, his eyes filled with joy, finally managing to settle down. Lin Shui, who was with him, looked at the courtyard, her face filled with delight and excitement. "Husband, is this really our home from now on?" Chen Feng smiled and said, "Yes, you should tidy up first. I see there are places outside selling bedding and various supplies. We can buy the bedding first, and the other things can be sorted out slowly. I will take a look at this student manual first." Lin Shui nodded happily, saying, "All right." Subsequently, Chen Feng moved his mind and directly took out the student manual. While Chen Feng was perusing the student handbook, a stir arose within the Black Rock Academy due to his arrival. The principal's office. Qian, who bearing Yun Zai's recommendation letter, strode directly into the office. Upon pushing open the door, he exclaimed with some excitement, "Old principal, a student arrived today, bearing a recommendation letter. And it's from Yun, she the divine phoenix, sword cultivator." Old principal Guan Mingjiang, who had been vexed by information relayed by the city lord, was taken aback by "What? A recommendation from Yun Shi?" Qian, who replied, "Indeed, old principal. Here is the information. He is a villager from a hamlet at the foot of the Black Mountain. I dispatched men this afternoon to verify his background, and he is indeed from Black Mountain Village. He is now 18, and we have confirmed that he has communicated with Yun Shi. This Chen Feng has certainly awakened his martial talent." As he spoke, Qian, who produced a stack of documents and placed them on the desk before old principal Guan Mingjiang. They contained all of Chen Feng's particulars along with information about Lin Shui, who was by his side. Even the details of Chen Feng's conflict with Squire Huang, his prowess with a bow, and how he slew the martial artist in the Huang household were recorded therein. The old principal's eyes glimmered as he scanned the documents. After a moment he chuckled, "Excellent. For every new prodigious martial artist that emerges, our great Qian's chances of survival increase. And Yunshi, that girl, truly came to Black Mountain. It appears the rumors of the Demon Blade's secret realm within the mountain are likely true." Qian, who nodded, "Indeed. We still do not know the situation within Black Mountain. I wish to contact sword cultivator Yunshi. If she is willing to lend her aid, the current crisis facing Blackrock City could be resolved immediately." The old principal pondered for a moment before speaking gravely. "Naturally, the Demon Blade's secret realm is more crucial. It must fall into the hands of our great Qian. If the demonic cult seizes it, we will be in grave danger. This could endanger not only Blackrock City, but the entire Nanshan prefecture." Qian, who nodded yes. The old principal continued, "By the way, has Chen Feng indicated which martial art path he intends to choose?" "According to the collected information, he seems to know little. You can assist him more." Qian, who smiled, "I have arranged for Wan Baoyang to guide him. That should suffice. Moreover, when selecting a technique, it is a matter of personal choice. He can sense a measure of affinity, so there should be no major issues. From what I can tell, his cultivation is still within the first rank, and he hasn't mastered any martial art yet. That won't cause trouble. I have granted him the status of a first-class student. Even if he makes a wrong choice initially, there will be subsequent opportunities." The old principal nodded with a smile. "That is good. Keep a close watch on him. If feasible, adding one more slot to the special training roster is no big matter. Also monitor the situation in Black Mountain closely. Those demonic cult whelps are truly reckless." Chen Feng remained oblivious to the events unfolding within the academy. After thoroughly reviewing the student handbook, he gained an understanding of the workings of Blackrock Academy. Now he comprehended why Wan Baoyang was astonished upon learning he enjoyed first-class student privileges. Within Blackrock Academy, there were numerous resources to aid cultivation. For instance, there were gravity chambers that enhanced blood and qi circulation through increased gravitational force, various beast blood and flesh to augment blood and qi. Pills that amplified blood and qi and accelerated cultivation speed, diverse martial arts and techniques, and specialized training from various instructors. However, accessing these resources required the expenditure of points. Without points, one could scarcely move within the academy. Students were categorized into 4 tiers based on their cultivation progress and talent: third class, second class, first class, and storm students. Third class students received 100 points monthly, second class students 300 points, and first class students 500 points. Storm students, those who made the Academy's Storm list, received an additional 1,000 points monthly even for the lowest rank on the minor Storm list. Additionally, successful challenges yielded point rewards. The Academy also conducted monthly assessments. These assessments primarily gauged cultivation progress and combat proficiency. Those ranking lowest would have their points deducted. If a student failed to meet the minimum point requirement for 3 consecutive months, they would be expelled from Blackrock Academy. So that's how it is, Chen Feng sighed inwardly. No wonder upon entering the school he saw only students diligently training or hurrying to and fro. They were all likely scrambling for points. Such a system would compel all students to focus solely on cultivation. As for selecting martial arts, one could exchange points at the Academy's Sutra Pavilion. As long as one had points, they could be exchanged. His identity token held 500 points, so he considered going, but it was already quite late. Lin Shui had also finished tidying the 788th courtyard. He decided not to cultivate further, opting instead to gather more information before deciding his next steps. Lying in his new home, Chen Feng felt a sense of calm. Lin Shui nestled beside him, her eyes sparkling with admiration. "Husband, you are truly amazing." Chen Feng smiled. "Keep striving, and we will grow better and better." Lin Shui nodded firmly. He watched as she drifted off to sleep. Chen Feng, however, continued to ponder his situation in this world. This was perhaps the first time he felt. Once his cultivation advanced further, he could inquire whether anyone from Black Rock Academy was venturing into Black Mountain. According to what Lu Yuan had mentioned earlier, even an apprentice like him had overheard martial artists discussing Black Mountain. He should soon obtain more information about it. But he wondered if he would ever cross paths with Yunxi again. A night passed. Chen Feng glanced at the pane. "You spent a pleasant night. Your Yin-Yang art proficiency increased by 10. Skill: Yin-Yang art apprentice." In a little while the Yin-Yang art should advance, Chen Feng mused. He rose and went to the courtyard to practice the Iron Fist technique. Progress was slow but steady. Not long after, a knock came at his courtyard gate. Chen Feng opened the door to find Wan Baoyang, who laughed. "Haha, Brother Chen, I feared you might impulsively head to the Sutra Pavilion, so I came early. I want you to be better prepared before choosing your technique. Are there choices for martial arts?" Chen Feng asked in surprise. Wan Baoyang replied, "Yes, ordinary combat techniques are trivial, but core martial skills require careful selection. Let me take you to the Scripture Pavilion, and we can discuss this along the way." Chen Feng nodded. "All right." After notifying Lin Shui, he headed toward the Scripture Pavilion. On the way, Wan Baoyang inquired, "Brother Chen, what martial arts have you practiced before?" Chen Feng replied, "An Iron Fist art. I obtained it from an enemy." Wan Baoyang waited for more, but Chen Feng stopped after that single sentence. He looked at Chen Feng with surprise. "An Iron Fist art? An elementary martial art? And you've trained with it until now?" Chen Feng answered yes. Hearing Chen Feng's unequivocal confirmation, Wan Baoyang marveled inwardly. Truly one worthy of recognition by the Yunxi sword cultivator. Wan Baoyang smiled wryly. "Then do you know the categories of martial arts?" Chen Feng pondered. "I've gathered some knowledge, broadly divided into body tempering, qi training, and soul refining. Correct?" He had gleaned this from the Iron Fist art and basic martial knowledge coupled with his own reasoning, so he spoke directly. Wan Baoyang nodded. "Essentially correct. Among the 3 training systems, qi training is mainstream. Anyone can practice it, and the higher the aptitude, the faster the progress. Body tempering, however, imposes many restrictions, is extremely painful, and carries great future risks. It is generally not recommended. As for soul refining, it remains quite mysterious. Our academy has almost no inherited soul refining techniques. Only a few specialized arts contain minor training methods. You will most likely choose between qi training and body tempering. I suggest you pick qi training. With sufficient talent, your qi training speed can keep pace, and within a few years you may even break through to the 4th grade true qi realm." Chen Feng mused. What system does the Yunxi sword cultivator belong to? He also planned to visit Heishan once he stabilized. He wanted to investigate the situation in Heishan town, and recall that when the Yunxi sword cultivator returned, his expression had been grim. Likely he hadn't slain Huang Haixing. He couldn't afford to wait years for a breakthrough. Wan Baoyang, surprised by Chen Feng's question, said, "The Yunxi sword cultivator possesses the Divine Phoenix bloodline and is a gifted sword cultivator, a body-tempering martial artist. Moreover, legend says his soul aptitude is also exceptional. With dual cultivation, even at the 5th grade realm, he once escaped unscathed from a 6th grade demon sect expert below the Grandmaster level. He is one of the young prodigies of Dakian." Chen Feng's eyes showed surprise. "I see." He had begun to understand the prestige of martial arts ranks. A 5th grade martial artist was no common cabbage. In Haishi County, such a person would be a leader among major factions. Only the City Lord was a 6th grade true intent realm powerhouse, and he spent most of his time in seclusion. Back then Huang Haisheng's courtyard had gathered many 1st and 2nd grade martial artists, nearly all shot dead by Chen Feng, which had made him underestimate them. Along the way Wan Baoyang continued sharing martial arts insights, while Chen Feng contemplated his own path ahead. Chen Feng asked curiously, "Brother Wan, is it impossible to cultivate all 3 systems?" According to his panel proficiency, the Iron Fist art and various skills were primarily body tempering, while the awakened power of faith seemed to be a mental enhancing skill. Thus he was already a dual system cultivator. If chi training were also viable, could he pursue all 3? Wan Baoyang quickly shook his head. Impossible. Some have tried before. But human energy is limited. 3 systems are almost parallel paths. Even dual cultivation progresses much slower than a single path, let alone 3. A highly talented disciple once attempted it, yet in the end many cultivators weaker than him became grandmasters, while he remained stuck at the 5th grade. He couldn't fuse true intent with body tempering, eventually abandoned one path, but remained trapped at the 6th grade. A great pity. Wan Baoyang's voice carried sorrow and regret. Chen Feng nodded. "I understand. Then I know what to do." Wan Baoyang nodded. "Yes, you can browse the manuals and sense their affinity with you." Chen Feng nodded. "All right." Soon they arrived at the scripture pavilion, a 6-story tower. At the entrance stood a restriction, a rectangular counter behind which sat a gaunt middle-aged man utterly absorbed in his book. Wan Baoyang addressed him respectfully, "Teacher Zhao." Then he had Chen Feng swipe his student token over a brick-sized jade slab on the counter. After that Chen Feng entered the scripture pavilion directly, while Wan Baoyang waited outside. Teacher Zhao had been reading all along. But when Chen Feng's student token displayed its information, a flicker of surprise crossed his eyes. A newly enrolled student with 500 points. A first-class student. Teacher Zhao took a glance and returned to his book. Inside, Chen Feng observed the 1st floor, which housed mainly ordinary and elementary martial arts manual. He didn't linger, proceeding directly to the 3rd floor. From martial knowledge and his talk with Wan Baoyang, he had gathered important information. Martial arts had precise grade classifications, unlike what Chen Feng had previously assumed. Breaking limits did not simply mean a single breakthrough upgraded the art. Instead, there existed complete advancement systems. The maximum grade a martial art could train to determine elementary martial arts were the lowest. Upon mastering them, there was some chance to break through and become a 1st-grade martial artist. Intermediate arts could train up to the 3rd grade with a probability of reaching 4th grade. For a guaranteed breakthrough to the middle 3 grades, one needed advanced martial arts. Otherwise, the chance was extremely low. As for breaking through to the Grandmaster realm, those methods were held by powerful systems and major forces. Even Haishi Academy, an official training institute of the Dacian dynasty, only had post-breakthrough arts in the hands of various major factions. Chen Feng quickly realized that to reach higher realms, he must cultivate an advanced martial art. If his training lacked a coherent system relying on scattered limit-breaking techniques, he might appear to reach higher grades, but his cultivation would be fragmented. Chen Feng had pondered this. According to martial records, a prodigy named Qin Wentian once trained 18 elementary martial arts to the limit-breaking stage. By grade, he could be considered an 18-grade martial artist at his peak, even matching a grandmaster. Yet his final battle against a demonic grandmaster ended with his body shattering. To this day, Qin Wentian is used as a cautionary tale. Chen Feng heeded the lesson. Upon reaching the 3rd floor, he found it spacious, and seeing the manuals displayed, his eyes lit up with delight. In the 3rd floor, Chen Feng scanned the room, noticing that there were only about a few dozen martial arts books. At that moment, there was only a woman in a white dress standing by another bookshelf, flipping through one of the martial arts. Advanced Sword Technique, Gale, Sword Technique. Requires 300 contribution points. After reaching great mastery, one can embody the Gale sword intent and achieve up to the 6th rank of True Essence. Sword Technique. Chen Feng's eyes brightened. This was indeed to his liking. However, after glancing at the entry requirements a bit more, he could only put it down helplessly. Training in this martial art required awakening a wind affinity talent. Otherwise, merely using the wind and sand to temper the body for entry would be quite difficult. With reluctance in his heart, he had to give up. Then he came across a new technique. Heavenly Burning Art Inferno of Heaven requires fire affinity talent. 300 contribution points. Diamond Art, which trains the body to become as tough as diamond, able to withstand various sharp attacks, but the weakness is a fear of water and fire attacks. 300 contribution points. Spiral True Chi Art can transform one's true chi into a spiral form, allowing for faster condensation and greater attack power. Requires strong meridians and a talent for body cultivation. Azure Sea Tide Art. Azure Sea True Chi has an extremely strong recovery ability. Requires a water affinity martial talent. Training speed is extremely fast. After reviewing the various martial arts techniques, several of them brought some surprise and satisfaction to Chen Feng. In any case, each technique had a minimum requirement of 4 layers. It was enough to cultivate to the 4th rank martial artist realm. As for after the 4th rank, one could exchange for other techniques. In this way, even if he practiced other martial arts, it would have a better compatibility, increasing the possibility of breakthroughs. However, looking at these techniques, they all had various requirements. Chen Feng pondered, is this what they call compatibility? Based on the information displayed by these advanced techniques, it was possible to practice without any martial talent, but the difficulty and speed of training would naturally be much slower than those with similar talents. Chen Feng contemplated as he examined these techniques one by one. The most important role of martial talent is that at the 6th rank of true essence, understanding the related true essence becomes significantly easier. Chen Feng thought unlike what Yun Shi and Qian, who believed his training was related to the proficiency panel. With the proficiency panel, any martial art technique, as long as he succeeded in cultivation, could awaken the relevant talent. Thus, he need not worry about any talent restrictions. With this thought, Chen Feng felt much more relaxed as he continued to look over these martial arts techniques. What he needed most now were systematic training methods, body tempering techniques, and internal cultivation. That was what he needed most at the moment. However, he currently only had 500 contribution points, enough to exchange for one advanced technique. Therefore, he considered focusing on the training system. Chen Feng contemplated these options. The Gale Sword technique somewhat aligned with his character, while the Heavenly Burning Art of Fire attribute technique had terrifying attack power. He had some ideas. However, in this area close to the edge of the 3rd floor, there was a bronze-colored jade slip. Below it was a brief description of this technique. Blood Dragon Art. By refining the body with dragon blood, one can forge a body not inferior to a true dragon's skin, blood, tendons, bones, and heart. Furthermore, there is also the Blood Dragon visualization method, which can refine the spirit. Upon seeing the introduction of this technique, Chen Feng felt a jolt in his heart. The lower 3 ranks of body refining mainly involve refining skin, bones, and organs. Yet the Blood Dragon art offered several additional refining methods. Among body tempering techniques, it belongs to the top tier. It even surpasses the category of advanced tech. However, practicing the Blood Dragon art has its limitations, primarily it relies on the power of dragon blood for the fastest progress in cultivation. Yet dragons are considered an extremely terrifying existence among monsters. How could such a thing be easily obtained? He still hesitated in his heart. There is also some information stating that using other beings containing dragon blood, even half-dragons or monster blood, can also be practiced. However, the speed and difficulty of such practice would be different. Chen Feng pondered for a moment, then he'll choose this technique first. It has a fast training speed and strong body refining. What else is there to choose? Moreover, since this technique involves dragon blood, he was curious about what talent he would awaken if he mastered it. He also wanted to select a true Qi technique. He had his eyes on the Heavenly Burning Art, but unfortunately, he currently did not have enough contribution points. So he decided to hold off for now. He would wait until he obtained more contribution points in the future to continue selecting other techniques. Next, he should look to choose another offensive technique and a body technique to make up for his current shortcomings. Chen Feng made his choice and prepared to head downstairs to get the complete version. At that moment, the woman in white who had been quietly reviewing information in the loft noticed Chen Feng's choice and said with a hint of surprise, "You chose the Blood Dragon art. This technique is quick to learn, but if you don't have pure dragon blood, your later training speed will be extremely slow and the risk of mutation is very high. Moreover, this lineage has already declined, and you won't receive much support." Chen Feng glanced at the woman in white and cupped his hands in thanks, saying thank you. He then turned and left directly. The woman behind had a slightly surprised expression, pondering, is he really not leaving himself a way out? She naturally saw the determination in Chen Feng's eyes. It seemed he was fully committed to the Blood Dragon art, leaving no retreat for himself. This made the woman in white ponder, and after a moment a glint of light passed through her eyes as she chuckled, "A newcomer dares to be so resolute. What am I still hesitating for? It's you then." She directly took the technique she had been considering for so long in hand. Below this technique, there was also a brief description. 5-element divine energy, the utmost rigidity, and yang. 5 types of energy, violent and unmatched. She was actually going to cultivate such a domineering technique as a woman. At this moment, Chen Feng had already arrived at the 2nd floor. Compared to advanced techniques, the intermediate techniques on the 2nd floor were mostly at the level of dozens to a couple hundred contribution points. After displaying and reviewing this, Chen Feng selected an intermediate body technique, the cloud smoke technique, costing 100 contribution points. Whether for long-distance travel or quick movements in tight spaces, its speed was formidable. It was sufficient for his needs. He also chose an offensive martial technique. For long range, he had archery, but for close combat, he preferred a swift knife technique, so he selected the Scarlet Flame Blade technique. With a total of 18 strikes when mastered, the blade technique would be as terrifying as a raging fire. He spent all 500 contribution points. Next would be the period of explosive strength. He believed it wouldn't be long before he could return to the Black Mountain. Having selected his chosen techniques, teacher Zhao looked somewhat surprised, but said nothing more. The blood dragon art only had its upper volume. According to teacher Zhao, they did not possess the complete version either. Chen Feng paid it no mind. The upper volume alone was sufficient for cultivation up to the 5th rank martial artist realm. Moreover, as teacher Zhao had said, once he achieved some progress, a martial artist from this lineage would come to him. Chen Feng pondered, but did not dwell on it. As long as there was a path forward, it was enough. The Misty Cloud movement technique and the Crimson Flame Blade art, however, were complete versions. This sufficed to compensate for his shortcomings. After obtaining the subsequent techniques, Chen Feng examined the information within, and a glint of surprise shone in his eyes. The Blood Dragon art was indeed a martial art that relied on devouring the essence blood of demons to cultivate. While it might pose difficulties for others with his nutrient absorption skill, he would have no trouble whatsoever. Not bad, Chen Feng chuckled to himself. After exiting the scripture pavilion, Wan Baoyang was still waiting outside, a broad smile on his face. When he heard that Chen Feng had chosen the Blood Dragon art, Wan Baoyang's eyes widened in astonishment. Brother Chen, are you certain you want to walk the path of demonic body refinement? This technique advances quickly in the early stages, but in the later stages, due to the refinement of various demonic essence blood, if your mental fortitude is insufficient, you may not withstand the onslaught of demonic aura. Some have attempted it, but most only cultivated up to the 3rd realm merely to enhance their physical resilience. It would be best to promptly select a true Qi technique after breaking through to suppress the demonic aura. Chen Feng nodded. I understand. I need some demonic essence blood and Qi blood pills. Brother Wan, do you know where I should best purchase them? Wan Baoyang replied, the Myriad Phenomena Tower is the best, but the prices are steep. Even first-tier demonic essence blood costs at least several dozen taels of silver. Chen Feng frowned. That expensive? Wan Baoyang gritted his teeth. Yes. If you truly need it, I can procure some essence blood for you at an 80 discount. But only for those below the 3rd realm. Chen Feng nodded. Good, then I'll trouble you, Brother Wan. Here is 500 taels of silver. Spend it all on demonic essence blood. Wan Baoyang nodded. All right. He'll obtain it for you as soon as possible. Returning to yard 788, Chen Feng promptly hung up the sign indicating seclusion. He had no desire to waste too much mental energy on the trivial matters of Blackstone Academy. Cultivation was all that mattered. He opened his panel information. Name Chen Feng, Realm Skin Tempering Stage Middle Techniques, Iron Fist, Art Familiarity Progress, 15 Blood Dragon, Art Not Started. Martial Skills Misty Cloud Movement Technique, Not Started Skills Nutrient Absorption Proficient Progress, 11 Basic Archery Proficient Progress, 11 Yin-Yang, Art Beginner Progress, 50 Forest Running Familiar Progress, 60 Trap Technique, Familiar Progress, 11 Killing Intent Familiar Progress, 1 Stealth Beginner Progress, 51 Faith Power Beginner Progress, 31. Talents 1 Eye Killing Intent Deterrence with the user as the center. When enemies enter a radius of tens of meters, they will be affected by a deterrence of killing intent dazed for at least 0.01 seconds. Weaken with the enemy's mental fortitude. 2. Clever Hands. The formations you set up gain a 10 increase in attack power and a 10 faster deployment. Gazing at the displayed information, Chen Feng fell into thought. First, practice the movement technique. Enhancing his movement ability would allow him to both fight and flee when facing enemies. Step by step, he trained in the courtyard following the Misty Cloud movement technique. Lin Shui was washing clothes and cooking nearby, her eyes filled with contentment. She never imagined she could leave the mountain village and enjoy such a life now. You have practiced the Misty Cloud movement technique once fully. Your Misty Cloud movement technique has entered the beginner stage. Proficiency 1. Martial Skill Misty Cloud Movement Technique Beginner Progress 1. Not bad. Again, Chen Feng said to himself. He continued to dart and weave around the yard, even as he saw the proficiency refreshing. However, during this process, surprise flickered in Chen Feng's eyes. After reaching the beginner stage, the rate of improvement seemed much faster. Your Misty Cloud Movement Technique Proficiency 3. Your Misty Cloud Movement Technique Proficiency is rapidly increasing. Chen Feng sensed the points of synergy, then realized with astonishment. Is it the forest running talent? Under the talent of moving as if on level ground, it actually provided a boost when cultivating movement techniques. Chen Feng attempted to merge this talent with the Misty Cloud Movement Technique in his mind. Boom. At that very moment, the panel displayed the skills of Forest Running and Misty Cloud Movement Technique, slowly fading away. Then new information refreshed. Your Misty Cloud Movement Technique has merged with the Forest Running skill. Your martial skill Misty Cloud Movement Technique has evolved into Misty Cloud Carefree Step. Your martial skill Misty Cloud Carefree Step has advanced to the proficient stage. Your primary talent, as if on level ground, has evolved into intermediate talent Misty Cloud Phantom. You have gained 5 speed attribute points. It worked, Chen Feng exclaimed with delight. An intermediate martial art once mastered could merge the early forest running skill. It also elevated the original primary talent to an intermediate one. Panel information. Speed 14 Martial Skill Misty Cloud Carefree Step Proficient Progress 1. Intermediate Talent Misty Cloud Phantom Under Misty Cloud Carefree Step Movement Speed increases, allowing the manifestation of 3 Misty Cloud Phantoms. As the information flooded in surprise, filled Chen Feng's eyes. Then he merely moved slightly. With a single step, he was already 3 to 4 meters away. Bam! He nearly collided with the courtyard wall. This is too fast. Chen Feng turned to look at where he had stood, astonishment in his eyes. Such speed was almost like short-range teleportation. It was not far off from the experts he had seen back in Black Mountain Village. Chen Feng marveled inwardly. He had not expected the Misty Cloud movement technique to improve so rapidly. He speculated if that was the case, could he use a pile of low-level techniques to fuse into higher-level martial arts? These thoughts crossed his mind. However, he had no points now, so he dismissed it. In the afternoon, Wan Baoyang arrived carrying several porcelain bottles. Wan Baoyang said, "Brother Chen, I've brought 40 bottles of first-tier bull demon essence blood." Chen Feng sensed them and replied, "Good, thank you, Brother Wan." Then Chen Feng inquired, "By the way, Brother Wan, do you know what's happening with Black Mountain now? Any news about that Cloud Mist Sword Cultivator?" He couldn't help but feel curious about what could attract the attention of such a 5-grade genius. It is said that within the Black Mountain the secret realm of the Demon Blade has appeared. This Yunshi Sword Cultivator has been searching for the realm within the Black Mountain, but just last night he fell into a trap set by the demon cult, ambushed by 3 of their emissaries. What was the outcome? Naturally, the Yunshi Sword Cultivator achieved a great victory, killing one of the 3 equally ranked emissaries of the demon cult and heavily injuring another fighting his way out. Is he really that strong? Of course, the Yunshi Sword Cultivator is a descendant of the Divine Phoenix clan, a mere few 5-grade members of the demon cult pose no threat to him. These detestable traitors of the demon cult must eventually be captured all at once. Thinking of Huang Haixing and the scene of demons devouring people he witnessed in the Black Mountain, Chen Feng felt a surge of killing intent, nodding in agreement. Yes, anyone associated with demons deserves to die. By the way, Brother Wan, what is this secret realm of the Demon Blade you mentioned? This is the first time I've heard about something in the Black Mountain. Wan Baoyang was not surprised, pondering for a moment. You should know that various heavenly materials and treasures as well as weapons are graded right. I do know that. We classify most treasures into 4 grades: heaven, earth, profound, and yellow, with yellow being the lowest and heaven the highest. What does this have to do with the secret realm of the Demon Blade? Is the Demon Blade a type of weapon? Yes, each Demon Blade is at least of earth grade. Moreover, within each Demon Blade there is generally the sealed intent of evil demonic gods. If demons obtain it, it is equivalent to directly summoning a 6-grade demon. There is even a chance to summon a 7-grade master demon. This poses a significant threat to us. Will 6-grade powerhouses really come? No, the Demon Hunters Legion leader is stationed in Blackstone City. Once a demon reaches 6th grade, they can no longer easily conceal themselves and enter human territory. As long as they dare to come, several leaders of the Demon Hunters Legion can easily take them down. I see. The 6th grade powerhouse mentioned by Wan Baoyang is the current lord of Blackstone City. In that case, there is no need to worry too much. After exchanging some information with Wan Baoyang, Chen Feng returned to the courtyard with the demon blood he obtained for 500 taels of silver. Chen Feng felt a sense of anticipation, wondering how far he could cultivate the blood dragon technique with the demon blood in hand. After entering the courtyard, Wan Baoyang turned to leave, pondering. It seems like he is just average. Why would the Yunshi Sword Cultivator allow this Chen Feng into the Blackstone Academy? Could it be that the secret realm of the Demon Blade in the Black Mountain relates to this Chen Feng? No matter how talented one is, if their cultivation is too low, it has no impact on the current situation in the Black Market County. In the courtyard, after informing Lin Shui, Chen Feng directly took out a porcelain bottle and swallowed its contents. Buzz! A surge of scorching energy erupted within his body, even more violent than the evil god blood he had consumed earlier. Then Chen Feng continued to cultivate according to the method of the Blood Dragon technique. You have entered the 1st level of the Blood Dragon technique. You refined a drop of demon blood. Your proficiency in the Blood Dragon technique skin refinement method has increased by 2. You refined the blood of a Nyo Mo. Your proficiency in the Blood Dragon technique skin refinement method continues to increase. In that moment, Chen Feng felt a blazing vitality circulating within his body. At the same time, the nutrient absorption skill was continuously refining this energy. You refined the demon blood. Your nutrient absorption skill proficiency has increased by 5. Various information flashed rapidly on the panel. At the same time, Chen Feng sensed that his physical strength was continuously increasing. The progress of the Blood Dragon technique's skin refinement method was steadily advancing, directly breaking through to a proficient level. Your Blood Dragon technique's skin refinement method has reached a proficient level, and you have awakened a new primary talent, Dragon Scales. You gain 3 points in strength and 2 points in defense. Chen Feng's eyes brightened. Dragon Scales. As the information flooded into his mind, Chen Feng felt a surge of joy. Primary talent dragon scales can utilize the power of qi and blood to condense dragon scales on the surface of the body. When condensing dragon scales, defense is doubled. Chen Feng opened his eyes, a flicker of emotion in his heart. Buzz. In the next moment, a faint blood-colored scale condensed on the back of his hand. He drew his long knife. Creak. A grinding sound echoed, surprising Chen Feng. Such a degree of defensive power could probably not be broken by an average first-grade martial artist. Continue. Looking at the dozens of bottles of demon blood remaining, he hesitated not at all, continuing his cultivation.